Hey, how's it going? Oh, nice. Well, what's that now? A team that I would like in hockey? Oh, you know what? My nephew plays, and well, yeah, my nephew and my some family members play. So it's the only hockey that I really keep up on is locally in our town. But yep, yep. Nice. It's a It's definitely a fast-moving sport. I like the full contact aspect of it. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that this should be pretty exciting with everything that's happening right now. This is an exciting time. So I got the stream up. Um, if you noticed it, Mike. Yep. So yeah, I got this chart up. What I did was I kind of got inspired by your chart that you had uh, pinned up, Mike, on I don't know what time frame it was though, but I was just playing around with some of the charts. Just I went to my I really love the 4 hour and the daily. Just when taking a step back, and I decided to you know take Bitcoin and layer over a couple things. Some of the big uh, indexes like the S&P, and I thought, well, you know what? Let's put Luna on here and see what it looks like. So we have a chart here um, with, of course, Bitcoin, which is the colored uh, green and red. Probably hard to see from where you guys are, but let me let me take off the Luna chart, or at least the S&P. There we go. So now the only two that are on here is Bitcoin and Luna, and I have Luna in orange. So it's go ahead. Oh, sure. Oh, you know what? I forgot to log in to on my computer as well.
Sure.
There we go.
Let me. It's actually looks like it streams live.
There we go. So
Possibly.
yeah,
Yeah. All right. Hang on.
I just from all
Oh,
the
you know
things that
what?
have
I
been
forgot to
happening
log
with
in
Luna and all this hype,
on my
and
computer as well. There we go.
boy, I didn't realize how big of an impact,
There we go.
what a disruptor this
So
Luna
yeah,
crash was.
I
Um,
just from
and
all the things that
as
have
I
been
started
happening
digging
with
in,
Luna and
you
all
could
this
probably
hype,
see on my tabs. Oh, let me
and
see this. I don't know if it shows up on
boy,
there,
I didn't
but
realize how big of an
um,
impact,
yeah, kind of
what a
digging in,
disruptor
pulling
this
back,
Luna crash
and
was.
looking at
Oh yeah.
Um,
how this
and as I started digging
algorithms
in,
hype
you could
of
probably see on my tabs. Oh,
stable
maybe you
coins
can't. I don't know if it shows
was
up on there.
operating. And
But
what was
um,
interesting is when I went
yeah,
and
kind of
started
digging in,
digging in a
peeling
little
it
bit, I
back,
hopped on
and
YouTube, found this
looking at,
guy was talking about it.
how
There was a lot of people that had
how this
already, you know,
algorithm type of
voiced their concerns
stable
about
coin
like
was
how this thing
operating.
could really
And
fall
what was
apart really
interesting is
quick
when
if
I went
something,
and
you
started
know, went
digging
off the
in a little
rails.
bit, I hopped on
And
YouTube, found a guy was
lo
talking
and
about it.
behold,
There
months
was a lot of
later, or
people that
however
had
much
already,
time later,
you know,
we have it
voiced their
actually happening,
concerns
right?
about it, like how this thing could really fall apart really quick if something, went off the rails. And lo and behold, months later, or however much time later, we have it actually happened, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So Luna is the
Mm-hmm.
core token, and then that gets swapped out to UST, which USDT is the algorithmic stablecoin portion of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a swap mechanism that happens. They're an
Mm-hmm.
elastic supply. So
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to always be able to get $1 worth of um, the UST swapping from Luna in. And
Hmm.
obviously that didn't work at some point here.
Hmm.
They lost the peg. They weren't able to keep it. Yeah, that was quite a magnificent downfall, and I think probably some of the more interesting facts about it
Yes.
are that we reached the
Yes.
all-time high on Luna just prior to this happening. I mean, it looks like, what do you
Right.
got there? Maybe it's what, April something or other it happened, right? We hit the
Yes.
$119, and
Yes.
just a matter of weeks later, it's at the all-time low. And interestingly
Right.
enough, just shortly after that all-time high happened, the lowest amount of Luna was in circulation. So there was a high demand for the UST. So there was quite a bit of Luna that was burned and pushed over, value transferred over into that. It's incredible. And the more research that I've been doing, the more I guess, I wasn't incredibly familiar with the project. But this ecosystem had set up merchants in, I want to say it was Korea and somewhere else, that were taking
Mm.
UST as payment. They had this whole payment structure set up, and they were charging them a maximum of 1%. So they were undercutting, Visa and MasterCard in the payment
Mm-hmm.
industry. So,
Mm.
I mean, like, boy, you got to imagine these vendors, stores that were taking UST, man, they just got a whooping. That is a lot to lose. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm anxious with this conversation with Dan tomorrow to kind of talk about some of these aspects, and how exactly this may play out. And I got to tell you, the more and more
Yeah.
that I look
Yeah.
at
It
this
seems like
specific situation and the
everything that
global
I'm reading
impact
right
it's had,
now, it's
I'm starting to wonder
there.
if this isn't
A lot of
going to
regulators
be
are using this
an
as the
impetus
example,
for
and they're
a
calling
global
for, of
regulatory
course, yeah,
committee on
regulation. It
crypto.
sounds worldwide. The
Yeah.
ECB
Yeah.
is,
It
I saw
seems
the
like
article,
everything
and
that I'm reading
they
right
seem to be
now,
using this
it's
as an example.
there
And
a
of
lot of
course, we saw
regulators
that
are using this as the
Janet Yellen
example, and
released
they're
some
calling
testimony. I think
for,
that
of
was just a
course,
day
yeah,
ago,
regulation.
or yeah, I think it
It
was
sounds
Monday,
worldwide. The
about
ECB
how this,
is, I found an
kind of
article, and
how this
they
needs
seem to be
more
using this as an
regulation, more
example.
oversight, or at least
And of course, we
I
saw
don't really
that
know the
Janet
whole thing
Yellen
about what she
was
said
giving
in her
testimony. What, that
testimony,
was a
but it
couple
kind of
days ago,
highlights.
or yeah, I think it was a
And
couple days ago,
yeah, so now
about
the
how
question
this,
comes,
kind of
now that we
how
have
this needs
that
more
idea
regulation,
that's
more oversight,
set,
or at
and we
least,
might have
I don't
regulation,
really
I'm
know the
pretty
whole
sure we're
thing
going to
about
start
what she said. I
having,
didn't watch the whole
more
testimony,
regulation.
but I
We
caught the
heard it coming
highlights.
from the Biden
And yeah,
administration,
so now
and
the
now, of
question
course,
comes,
with this breakdown of
now that
Luna
we
and
have
UST, we're
that
hearing, the
idea,
Fed start
that
getting
sense that
involved,
we
the
might
Treasury.
have regulation,
So
I'm
now
pretty sure we're
it's
going to
just
start having,
trying to
more
use that
regulation. We
information
we
to
heard it
say, okay,
coming
well, what
from
can we
the Biden
expect? How is this going
administration.
to affect us?
And now, of course, with this
How
breakdown
can we
of
use
Luna and
this to get
UST,
an
we're
edge
hearing, the
in
Fed start getting involved,
opportunity
the
in the
Treasury.
markets?
So
as a
now,
leading
I
indicator,
guess trying to use
so
that
we try to
information
figure
to
out how
say,
to
okay,
play
well, what
this,
can we expect?
the
How is
best way
this
we
going to
can,
affect us?
either to hedge
Um,
ourselves
and how
or
can we use
to
this to
actually
get an
enter
edge
certain
in
positions that
opportunity in the
we believe are going to be
markets?
profitable.
How can we use this as a leading indicator, you know, so that we can try to figure out how to play this, the best way we can, either to hedge ourselves or to actually enter certain positions that, maybe are going to be profitable.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested to see if you've got some insight into that. For me, the things that are standing out from a fundamental standpoint are going to be projects, of course, like Unbanked, Stellar, XDC. Any of these businesses, projects that have the ISO 20022, because they had to go through and get themselves into that banking infrastructure, so that they were able to be used as a monetary transaction standard. So I would assume that those are going to be some of the ones that are going to come out on the other side of this, as well as ones that are registered with regulatory agencies. Specifically again like Unbanked, going through and registering with the SEC as well as international regulatory bodies. So I'd have to imagine that that's going to come out the other side. But yeah, what's going to get mucked up here? What are the opportunities for shorting? We were talking about shorting earlier today, and it would seem like we probably have some of these projects, especially if we have
Yeah,
international
well,
regulation that would be
yes,
coming
you
on
could
board,
absolutely. You
that
start looking
people
at
are
the
going to
week.
be looking to exit
Whenever
from.
I'm
So those might be
scanning or
ones
screening for
to take a
stocks,
look at
and
taking a
I got to revert to the
taking a
stocks a
short
lot,
position on.
because that's
What are your thoughts on
what
that,
I'm
Jay?
familiar with.
Yeah,
That's where
well,
we have data. We
yes,
have a
you
lot of
could
data historically
absolutely.
to
You
draw
start
from,
looking at the week,
and that body
whenever
has
I'm
released
scanning
a
or
lot of
screening for
changes
stocks,
in
and I,
regulation over the
I, I
years.
got to revert to the
So
stocks a lot, and because
we could use
that's
that as a leading
what I'm
indicator.
familiar with. That's where we have
The
data. We have a
governments
lot of data
and
historically to draw
regulators are
from,
going to be coming
and that body
into the
has,
crypto space,
seen a
we
lot of
can
changes in
expect that
in
they're
in
going to do
regulation
what
over the
they've
years.
done
So
before in the
we use
stock
that as a
market,
leading
the futures
indicator. If
markets, the
if
forex markets,
the governments
options.
and
So
regulators are going to
yeah,
be coming into the
they
crypto
really are
space,
going
we can
to
expect that they're
be
going to
putting
do
pressure
what they've
on
done
these
before in the
coins
stock
and these
market, the futures
organizations
markets, the
behind these
forex
coins,
markets,
and that is
options.
where,
So yeah,
if they're
um,
weak,
they really are going
from a
to
financial standpoint or a
be putting
regulatory
pressure
standpoint,
on
it's
these
sort of like driving a car without any
coins and these
sort of
organizations
insurance.
behind
You
these
know,
coins.
you're kind of
And
taking a
that is
risk. Yeah,
where,
chances are
um,
you
if they're
won't crash the car
weak,
going to the
uh,
grocery
you know,
store,
from a
but
financial
in
standpoint
the
or a
event that you
regulatory
did, if you ended up
standpoint,
hitting
if
a Bentley,
it's sort of like
well,
driving a car
you're
without
going to
any
be in some pretty big
sort of
trouble, right?
insurance, you
So
know, you're
that's
kind of
the
taking a
same way I
risk.
like to
Yeah,
look at
chances are
companies. If
you
you
won't
have a
crash the car
company
going to the
that
grocery
has
store,
a strong
but in the
backbone,
event
they
that you
have
did,
themselves,
if you ended up hitting a
in
Bentley,
alignment with
well,
all,
you're
a
going to
lot
be
of
in some pretty
we'll
big
take
trouble,
some
right?
of my companies,
So
just my music store, for
that's
instance.
the same way I like to look
I
at
got to have
companies.
insurance in
If
case someone
if you
trips
have a
and falls, or
company
someone,
that
hurts
has
themselves when
a
they're trying to load a
strong
car, or
backing, they have
there's so
themselves,
many things that can happen,
in alignment
and
with all,
and we
take a lot of,
understand we're not
we'll take
rich, right?
some of my
It's a
companies, like just
small
my music store, for
peninsula in a
instance.
small
You know,
town. We
I
just
got
want
to
to
have
survive
insurance in case someone
and
trips
keep
and
going.
falls, or
Mm-hmm.
someone,
But
hurts
we
themselves while
always
they're
make
trying to
sure to
play a
have
guitar. Or,
ourselves
I
in
mean,
alignment with the
you
IRS,
know, there's so many things that could
both
happen,
the
and
feds
we don't,
and the
we're
state,
not
right?
rich, right? I mean, this
And
is
our
just a
local
small
municipalities.
music store in a
We
small
have all the
town. We
insurances.
just
So
want to
same thing with these
survive
companies
and
that we're going to be
keep
looking
going.
at.
But
You want to
we
be able
always
to
make
make
sure
sure
to
and say,
have
okay,
ourselves in alignment with the
with that lens
IRS,
of
both
perspective,
the
is
the
this organization
feds
I'm dealing
and
with
the state,
going to
right,
be
and
one
our
that the
local
feds can come in
municipality. We
and
have all the
make
insurances.
it
So
so that
same thing with
someone
these
weak guy
companies that
won't
we're going
beat
to be looking
around,
at.
or is it
You
an
want to be able to make
organization
sure and judge,
that
okay,
has a
with
strong
that
backing
lens
that is
of
going to
perspective,
survive
is
these
this
horrific
organization I'm
tests that are
dealing
going to
with
be in place
going to be
by the
one that the
regulators?
feds can come
That's going
in
to be important,
and
when you're trying to
make it so,
rebalance your
these guys won't
portfolio,
be
or when you're
around,
trying to
or is it an
what kind of
organization,
company do I
you know,
want to be
that has a
buying to hold
strong backing that
long,
is going to
or
survive
what kind of
these
company do I
litmus
want to be
tests that are going to be in
shorting?
place by the
Um,
regulators.
and
So that's
you
going to
know,
be important,
and
you know,
shorting
when
can
you're
be
trying to
viewed a couple
rebalance your
different ways.
portfolio, or when you're
But
trying to
anyways,
determine
shorting can
what kind of
simply
company
be,
do I want to
well,
be
I have faith in
buying
this.
to hold
This
long,
company can survive
or
this.
what kind
They
of
don't have
company
either
do
the
I
cash
want to be
holdings, they don't
shorting.
have the infrastructure, they
Um,
don't have the
and you
regulatory
know, in shorting can be
set
viewed
up.
a couple different ways.
They just can't
But
operate under
anyways,
these
shorting
conditions
can
because
simply be,
the
well, I
regulators
don't
won't let
believe
them.
in this, you know,
So
that this company
I'm
can
going to sell
survive
that.
this.
I'm going
They
to
don't
sell
have
out
either
of
the
that and
cash
go to
holdings,
cash.
they don't
That's
have
a
the
method
infrastructure, they
of
don't have
shorting,
the
right?
regulatory
Um,
um,
so,
set up.
anyways, that is
They
something that
just
you
can't
want to start to
operate
really
under these
consider.
conditions
That is going to
because, you
be a
know,
lead. This
the
is a
regulators
leading
won't let them.
indicator
So
for
I'm going to
everyone to
sell
wake
that.
up. Now,
I'm going to
most people
sell
aren't
out of
doing
that
this
and go to
today, or maybe
cash.
they are. I
That's
don't
kind of a
know. I
method
just know
of
that
shorting,
the
right?
average person,
Um,
uh,
so
they just
anyways,
react.
that is something that
They're
you want to start to really
reactive
consider.
to
That is going to
everything
be
that
the
happens.
lead. This is the
And
leading
as
indicator for
investors
everyone
and people
to
that are
wake up. Now, most
opportunists,
people aren't
we
thinking
want
this
to
way,
have
or maybe
we
they
want
are.
to
I
be
don't know.
leading
I just know
indicators,
that,
and we
you
want to
know, the
identify
average
trends
person,
early, right?
uh, they
Um,
just react.
so that is
They're
something
you
that you
know,
have to place through
reactive
that
to
lens,
everything that
a
happens.
perspective, a
And as
regulatory perspective.
investors
So
and people
now,
that are opportunists, we
some of
want to
these
use
crypto
leading
holdings,
indicators, and we want to
the
identify
ones that are
trends
strong,
early, right?
start to
Um,
maybe recover,
so that is something
um,
that we have to place through
then
that
those are the
lens,
ones we want to
that
bring
perspective,
down
a
on, the ones that
regulatory
have a
perspective.
stronger
So
foundation.
now,
And that, of course, that's
as
that's where we're going to
some
make
of
our
these
money going
crypto
long. Now,
holdings,
talking
you
about
know, the
shorting,
ones that are
that's
strong
trickier.
start
Of
to
course, you
maybe
can,
recover,
right
um,
now, it is
then
not
those are the ones we
illegal
want to be
that
doubling
I know
down
of
on, the ones
in the
that, you know, have a
U.S.
stronger
to do it.
foundation. And
Just
that, of course,
from
that's how we're going
owning
to make
the
our money going
native
long. Now,
coin.
talking
You
about
can't short the
shorting,
coin
that's
like you
trickier.
can,
Of course, you can, you know,
let's say, a stock.
right now, it
But
is not
I do
legal
understand that you
that I
can
know of
go onto
in the U.S.
certain
to do it,
brokerages
just
that are
from
international brokerages
owning
with a
the
VPN,
native
and you
coin.
can
You can't
short those
short the
futures
coin
markets
like you
in the rest
can,
of the world. You just can't do
say,
it,
a stock.
I guess legally in the U.S.
But
Well,
I do
anyways,
understand
I
that you
don't know how to
can
do that,
go
but
onto
there are
certain
ways that you can participate in
brokerages that
shorting
are international brokerages
in
with
the
a
U.S. And
VPN,
it's sort
and
of
you
like
can, you know, short those
indirectly
futures
shorting.
markets in, you know, in the rest of the world, but you
If
just
we
can't do
go
it, you know, I guess
into,
legally in the
let's
US.
say,
Well,
as a
anyways,
matter of
I
fact,
don't know
let's
how
say,
to
let's
do
go
that,
on
but
to
there are ways that you
trading
can
view,
participate in shorting,
and I'm
um,
going to
in the
type
US, and
in,
it's sort of like
let's see,
indirectly
ETF. I'm going to go
shorting.
um,
Um, if we go
crypto
in to,
ETF.
let's say, a matter of
And
fact,
of
right here,
course,
let's
that's
go
come
on
up. It says
to
no more
trading
than
view,
3 items. So now we can
and
narrow
I'm
that
going to
down.
type
Let's
in,
go to,
let's see, ETF. I'm going to go
um,
um,
hey,
crypto
I got a good one. Oh, I got a
ETF.
good one.
Let's see if there's any
Mara, look
ETFs
at
that
this.
come up. It
Okay.
says no
Okay.
matches
This is cool.
3 items. So now let me narrow that down. Let's
MARA.
go to
Uh, this
um
I has anyone heard of
oh,
this?
you know, hey, I got a good one. Oh, I got a
Anyone?
good one.
No.
Um Mara, look at this.
Okay.
Okay.
So I found this
Okay. This
a
is
while
cool.
back. I thought I was actually
MARA.
screening for
This
marathon oil.
has
It's
anyone
funny
heard of
how it
this?
comes up. So I went
Anyone?
and
No?
bought this.
No.
I traded it,
Okay,
thinking it was
so I
marathon
found
oil,
this
and at the
a while
time it was
back.
like
I
like
thought I was
$3 or
actually
something.
screening for
So anyways,
marathon
the reason I want
oil.
to bring it up is
It's funny
Huh.
how
because
it comes up.
um,
So I went and bought
let
this.
me get
I
rid of
traded it, thinking it was marathon oil,
USD. Let me
and at
get
the
rid of
time it
Luna.
was like, I don't know, it was
If
like
we're done with this
$3 or
for now, I could
something.
probably get rid of these for now.
So,
Okay,
anyways, the reason I want to bring it up
okay.
is
So
because
if you look
um
here
let
on my chart, you
let
guys
me
can
get rid
see it.
of
So when I was
US
looking at this, it
T. Let
was
me get
right
rid of
around
Luna. I think we're done
$3.
with
Yeah,
these
so
two
this must
right
have
now.
been
I could probably
somewhere
get rid of
August
these
of
for now.
2020, and
Okay.
I traded some of
Okay.
it. So
So, if you
what was
look here
crazy is I watched it and
on
I
my chart,
forgot
if you
about
guys
it
can
over
see
time.
it.
I
So
literally
when I
bought
was looking at
very early.
this,
Like I think
it
I
was right
maybe I got out
around
100 shares at like
like
$5.
$3. Yeah.
It was
So that
silly.
must have been somewhere
But then
August of
I forgot about it
2020,
and time went. And I'm like,
and
okay, I'm
I
gonna watch
traded
this.
some of it.
Well,
So
I went back and
what was
looked at it
crazy is I watched it
sometime
and I
later,
forgot about it over
and
time. I
it's
literally got out
crazy
very
because
early. Like I
I
think
ended up
I
for
got
some
out 100
reason
shares at like
when
a
I looked
dollar or
at
something silly.
Bitcoin
But then I
and
forgot
I
about
looked
it
at
and time
this,
went. I had it in my
we
watch watch
looked
list.
identical
Well,
because I was,
I
of
went
course,
back and
I
looked
had to
at
put
it
Bitcoin number one
sometime
in
later,
my watch list.
and
So
it's
how's this
crazy
now? So if
because
I layer
I ended
in
up,
the
for
Bitcoin
some
thing,
reason, when I looked
this is
at
really interesting.
Bitcoin
Okay,
and I looked at
Bitcoin is
this,
orange.
they looked
Let
identical
me actually
because I
look
was,
up
of
that
course,
color
you know,
for
I
you
had
guys so you
Bitcoin
can
number
see.
one in my
Okay,
watch
let's
list.
go
So
style,
watch
and
this
we'll
now.
go
If I
something really
layer
dark like
over
this
Bitcoin
pretty
here,
freaking blue. There
this
we
is
go.
really interesting.
So now
Okay,
we're looking at
Bitcoin's orange.
Mara
And let
with
me actually
Bitcoin
adjust that color for
laid
you
in
guys so you
blue.
can see.
Can you guys see that
Let's
on the
go
YouTube page? And or not
style, and we'll
YouTube, but the
go
YouTube
something
page is
really
okay.
stark like
But
this
just
crazy
let me
looking
describe it.
blue. There
So
we
yeah,
go.
Mara
So now
looks just
we're
like
looking at
Bitcoin. I
Mara
mean, can you see it,
with
Mike? Can you see what
Bitcoin
I'm talking about?
laid in blue.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that on the YouTube page? And if you're not tuned
Yeah.
into the
Okay.
YouTube page, that's
So I'm
okay.
like,
But just let me
when I was switching
describe it.
between, I had
Yeah,
both of them in my watch
Mara
list. I was
looks
switching,
just like
I went to Mara,
Bitcoin.
and for
I
some
mean,
reason, I thought
can
I
you
was
see
looking
it,
at
Mike? Can you
Bitcoin.
see what I'm
Oh yeah.
And I'm
talking
like,
about?
what's going on here?
Hmm.
What
Yeah,
the
we
Yeah,
heck is
can. Yeah,
happening? And I couldn't
yeah.
figure it out. So I went and dug a little
yeah,
deeper
okay.
into
So I'm like,
Marathon Digital Holdings.
when I was
They're a
switching
Bitcoin
between, I had both of
mining
them in my watch list. I
company.
was switching, I went to Mara, and for some reason I thought I was
So
looking at Bitcoin.
think about
And I'm like,
that.
what's going on here?
It's a
What the hell's
Bitcoin mining
happening? And I
company,
couldn't figure it out.
which is
So I went and
why
dug a
it
little deeper
mimics
into
the
Marathon
price of
Digital Holdings. They're a
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin
But
mining
now
company.
this is an equity
Hmm.
in the U.S.
Okay.
stock
So
market,
think
which
about that.
means
It's a
that you
Bitcoin
can
Oh,
mining
buy
yeah.
it
company, which is
and sell it
why it
the same as
mimics
if you were buying and
the price
selling
of
Bitcoin. You can
Bitcoin.
do it
But
with a
now
standard
this
U.S.
isn't this
brokerage.
is an
So
equity in the US
what the
stock
heck's wrong with
market,
me?
which
Jesus, I could have
means
been doing this
that
the
you
whole
can
time
buy
Bitcoin was
it
crashing. I
and
totally
sell
forgot
it
about this
the
until we
same as if
just
you were
literally
buying
talked
and
about this
selling
right now.
Bitcoin, but
This
you
is
can do it with a
hilarious.
standard
Here I'm
US
complaining I
brokerage.
can't take advantage
So
of crashing Bitcoin,
what the
and
heck's
it's
wrong
been in
with
front
me?
of my face the whole time.
Jesus, I could have
Anyways,
been
I
doing
digress.
this the whole time
So
Bitcoin was crashing. I
write
totally
this one
forgot about
down.
this
This is
until
a
we
good one.
just literally
If you guys
talked
want to
about
buy
this
Bitcoin
right
without
now. This
buying
is
Bitcoin, this is a
hilarious.
great stock to
Here I'm
do it with.
complaining I
Or
can't
if you
take
want to
advantage
short
of crashing
Bitcoin
Bitcoin, and it's
without
been
the
in front of
ability
my
to do
face the
it,
whole
you
time.
can short
Anyways, I
that.
digress.
Just
So
with
write
any
this one down. This
standard
is a good one.
um,
If you guys want to
brokerage,
buy Bitcoin without
U.S.
buying Bitcoin,
brokerage.
this is a great stock to
So,
do it
I
with.
imagine if
Or
you
if you
guys
want to
have like a
short
TD
Bitcoin
Ameritrade, or if
without
you
the ability
have,
to do it, you can short that
I personally use
just
the ones
with
that focus a lot on
any
futures. So
standard
I know I
um
use TradeStation.
brokerage,
TradeStation also
US
does
brokerage.
stocks. I have both on
So,
an
I
equity
imagine
account,
if you guys have
stock
like a
account,
TD
and a futures account
Ameritrade,
through
or if you have
TradeStation. But I know there's a whole bunch of
I
them out
personally
there
use
that you
the
can
ones
use.
that
I
focus a
know,
lot on futures, but
what's it
I know
called?
I use
Interactive Brokers has a
TradeStation.
great program
TradeStation also
now,
does
and they used to
stocks. I
say they had
have
a
both
bunch
an
of
equities
pro
account, stock account, and
traders
I have
out
a
there,
futures account
and
through
now they've actually lightened
TradeStation.
up and,
But I know there's a
catered
whole
to a
bunch of
lot
them
of the
out there
smaller
that
guys
you
now.
can you can.
You can
I
open an
know. Oh,
account for, I
what's it
believe it's
called?
as low as like
Interactive Brokers
$100
has
or
a great
something.
program now,
So yeah,
and,
that's
they
something to
used to
look at.
cater to a lot of
If
the
you guys are
pro
interested in
traders out
using some of
there,
the
and
equities
now they've
to
actually
short
lightened
some of
up
these
and
markets,
catered to a
or
lot of the
to
smaller
go long
guys
on
now.
some of them.
You can open an account
So,
for,
anyways, okay,
I believe
that's
it's
one
as
of them,
low as like a
Mara.
hundred bucks or
The other
something.
ones, I know they have
So yeah, that's something
the
to look at.
Bitcoin
If you
ETFs.
guys are
So
interested in,
let me look
using
at.
some of the equities
I know there's one
to
out there because
short
I've
some of
already
these
found it in the
markets,
past. But
or,
let me just type
to
this
go
in.
along on some of them.
So
So anyways,
Bitcoin.
okay, so that's one of them, Mara.
Here we
The
go.
other ones, I know they have
That
the
is
Bitcoin ETFs. So
blockchain Bitcoin
let me
strategy
quick.
ETF. Here it is. Okay,
I know there's
so
one out there
we
because
can
I've
pick
already
from one of
found
these.
it in the
Here is
past, but let me just type this in. Let's
BITS,
go Bitcoin.
and then we have BITO.
Here we go. That
So it
is
looks like either one of
blockchain
these.
Bitcoin
Let's
strategy
go
ETF. Here
with
it is. Okay,
the
so
$9.
we can
Let's
pick
go
from one of these. Here is
BITS. Okay.
BITS,
So I'm pulling up BITS.
and then we have BITO.
This one,
So it looks like
that's not what I was
either
thinking it was.
one of
Okay,
these.
let's
Let's just
I'm
go
I'm
with
gonna
the $9 one. Let's go
well, actually, what the heck? That goes back to
BITS. Okay,
2009.
so I'm pulling up BITS.
Wow. That's interesting.
This
Let me
one,
get rid of the
that's not what I was thinking it was.
B.
Okay, let's. I'm gonna.
Oh, interesting.
I'm.
I don't
Well,
know
actually, what the
how that's
heck? That goes back to
possible. Looks like this
2009.
ETF has been tracking blockchain
Wow.
since
That's
2009.
interesting. Let me get rid
That's
of the
Is that right? Is that
BTC.
possible?
Oh, interesting.
Oh, anyways,
I don't know
I'm
how
gonna
that's
click on something
possible.
else.
Looks like this
I'm gonna
ETF
have
has
to
been
study that
tracking
one. I don't understand what's
blockchain
going on there.
since
Okay, so this one.
2009.
Okay, this one looks a little better.
That's,
So, of course, these
is that
ETFs.
Huh.
right?
So
Is that
you guys have
possible?
heard electronic traded funds, right? They'll take anything
Oh,
and
Mm-hmm.
put
anyways,
them and
I'm gonna
and
click
and
on something else.
they'll create
I'm gonna have
this
to study that
farm.
one. I don't understand
I
what's going
know
on there.
there used to be
Okay, so
one
this
located
one,
with some crazy
Okay,
when they
this one looks a
created.
little
So
better.
there was
So,
one for like
of course, these
social
ETFs.
media.
So
It
you
built
guys
a
have
whole
heard
social
electronic
media
traded funds,
company
right? They'll
into a
take
fund,
anything, any
and it
concept,
tracked the
and
the
and and
combined
they'll
price
create
action
this
of all
this
of those.
fund.
But that's
I
an
know
example
there
of how
used to
that's
be
why it's
one. Just
it's
thinking
kind
of
of
some
new. So it
crazy
looks
ones
like
they
this goes
created.
back
There was
to
one for
the
like
fall of
social
2021.
media.
This
So it
ETF
bundled
was
all the
created,
social media companies
and
into a
it's
fund,
just
and it
looking at it
tracked the
um,
combined price action of
at
all of
least
those.
on my
But that's an
forum
example
where they
how
chart
that's
it,
why
it looks
it's kind of new. So it
like
looks
it's
like this
been
goes
going
back
down
to the
you know
fall of
since
2021. This
yeah,
ETF
fall
was
of
created,
2021. It's just never really
and
recovered
it's it just
for some
looking at
reason.
it,
So that one would have been a
um,
great one to short.
at least
Um,
on my
and
4 hour
I
chart,
without
it
go,
looks
that's just Bitcoin. So it
like
looks
it's
like this
been
one
going
tracks
down, since
something to do with just Bitcoin.
yeah, fall of
So
2021.
there
It
again, if
never
you
really
think
recovered. It's
the
just going,
crypto market
continually down.
is
So that
dive
one would have
bombing,
been a
this
great one
is
to
a
short.
cheap way to short
Um,
this.
and I without
So
no, oh,
you
that's
can
just
make a
Bitcoin.
little money.
So it looks
This
like this
thing
thing tracks
maybe this thing
um
goes down. I
something to
mean,
do with
I'm
just Bitcoin.
hypothetically saying, like, if
So
if
there
we
again,
thought
if
this
you
thing
think
was going to go
the
down to
crypto
15
market
bucks,
is dive
from
bombing,
where it is
this is
now,
a cheap
then
way
you
to
could enter
short
a short
this,
position
um,
and see if it goes there.
and
But
make a
then
little
vice
money.
versa,
This
here
thing,
again, this is another cheap
maybe this
way
thing goes
to get
down. I
into
mean, I'm
Bitcoin.
hypothetically saying, like,
Wow,
if you
do the
thought this
math
thing
on
was
that.
going to
Think
go
of it.
down to 15
Just from
bucks,
this chart
from where
here,
it is now,
seeing the
then
action
you could enter a
of
short
Bitcoin. This
position
looks kind of like
and
the
see if
latest
it goes there.
Bitcoin
But then vice versa.
chart.
Here again, this is another
From
cheap
from
way to
Bitcoin.
get into Bitcoin.
So if
Wow,
you do
if you do
think
the math on
Bitcoin
that,
is
think of
going to
it.
go up,
Just
and
from this chart here,
let's say
seeing
this
the
represents
action
right now
of
about
Bitcoin, this
30,000.
looks
So
kind of
this,
like the
I love
latest
the
Bitcoin
relative
chart,
application here. So
just
they're
from knowing Bitcoin.
$18.23 would
So
represent close to where
if
we
you
are,
do
about
think Bitcoin is going to
$29,000 on
go up,
Bitcoin.
and
You figure
let's say this
45,000.
represents right now about 30,000. So
Sort of
this,
relatively
I
speaking, would
love the
probably
relative
be here close to the
application here.
$28
So their
or 20,
$18.23
maybe the
would
$30 mark
represent
on this
close to where we
ETF.
are, about
So if I
$29,000 on
thought that
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin was going to
You
march its way
figure
back up and test
45,000,
35 or
sort of relatively
40,000,
speaking, would probably
you
be
could
here
buy
close to the
100 shares of this for
$28 or 20,
$18.
maybe the $30
And
mark on
you
this
figure
ETF.
if
So if I
let's
thought
say
that Bitcoin was going to
$25
march its way
represents that
back up and,
relative move,
test
that's like what
35 or
six
40,000, you could
roughly six and
buy
a half
100
bucks
shares of these at
per share.
$18.
Just to give you an
And
example
you figure
of
if
how
this,
you could use
let's
this
say
to buy
$25
Bitcoin.
represents that
See what I'm
relative
saying?
move, that's like what, uh, roughly
Uh,
six and a half
yeah, that is
bucks
B as in
per
Bob,
share. Just to
I,
give an example
T as in
of
Tom,
how you could
O.
use this to buy Bitcoin. See what I'm saying?
And now, of course,
Yeah,
the
what's that ticker
inverse
symbol?
um,
That's
Uh, yeah, that
idea
is
is
B as in
short.
Bob, I,
If you wanted to
T
short
as in
Bitcoin,
Tom,
but you didn't
O.
want to, try to go through, the international market
And
with a
now,
VPN or
of
whatever,
course,
you could
the
go into,
inverse
your
um,
brokerage, and
idea
you could
is to
short this
short.
because
If you
if you
wanted to
have
short
a
Bitcoin,
brokerage, a U.S.
but you didn't
brokerage
want to,
equities
try
and
to
stocks, you
go
can
through,
short
the
anything you
international
want.
market with a VPN or whatever.
Of
You
course,
could go
they
into,
do have,
your brokerage,
I believe, and
and
this is something that
you could
as a
short
as
this
a group,
because,
everyone can kind
if
of
you
go
have
out and start
a
googling,
brokerage,
because
a
now
U.S. brokerage,
just talking out
equity
loud here, I'm like,
stocks,
holy cow,
you
this
can
is what I should
short
be doing as well.
anything you want.
I believe
Of
the
course,
ETF market is
they do have,
vast,
I
so
believe, and
there
this is
might
something
be
that
already
as a group,
an
everyone can kind
inverse.
of go out and start Googling, because now,
Yeah.
just
Now, when
talking
I
out
say
loud here, I'm like,
inverse,
holy cow, this is what
that
I should be doing
means
as well. I
that
believe
if
because the ETF market
Bitcoin,
is
let's say there's an
vast,
inverse ETF for
so
Bitcoin. I
there
know there's a
might
bunch
be
of them
already
for
an
like
inverse
the S&P. Let me just type
um,
in
ETF. Now, when I
inverse
say inverse, that
S
means that if
and
Bitcoin, let's say there's an
so
inverse
okay, no
ETF for
symbols. Okay,
Bitcoin.
there we
I
go.
know
No
there's a
symbols.
bunch of
That's
them
why I
for
can't use the description.
like the S&P. Let me just
Pro
type in
shares
inverse
S
S
and P. Okay,
and
there we go. So
P.
um,
See what comes up here. No symbols. Okay, it's looking for a symbol.
mid
That's why I
cap.
can't use a
Yeah, I don't.
description.
I know. Here,
Pro
shares short.
shares
There we
S
go. Ah, there
and
we go.
P.
Now we got it.
Okay, there we
Okay.
go.
So
So
what I just pulled up
um
on the screener, and
mid
sometime
cap.
in the future
Yeah,
we're
I
gonna
don't.
do
Oh,
we're gonna
I
get
know what it
together
was.
again and
Pro
remind me that we should
shares
make one of the topics
short.
how to use the
There we go.
screeners
Ah, there we
and
go. Now we got it.
like the stock
Okay. So
screeners
what I just
and
pulled up
crypto
on
screeners
the
that are out there.
screener,
Yeah, we got to
and
definitely talk about
sometime in the
this.
future, what we're gonna do, we'll get
Oh,
together again and
I'm
remind me that
sorry.
we should make one of the
I
topics how to use the screeners
I
and
okay.
like
So
the stock screeners
what I
and
Yep.
pulled
crypto
up
screeners
here
that are out there. Yeah,
is
we got
a
to definitely
pro
talk about that
shares
sometime.
short.
Um,
Um,
hold on a second.
I still got you guys.
I just there we go. Okay, so
Okay, so
what I
I'm
pulled
trying
up
to decide which
here
one. Let me pull up.
is
Let me pull
a
up high
pro
yield here.
shares short.
And I'm using this as an
Um,
example. Okay, so
I still
this
got you guys.
apparently
Yep.
is
Okay,
something to
so I'm
short
trying
in
to decide
some
which one. Let me
indexes. And
pull
I
up
thought I was going to
let
pull
me
up
pull up high
oh,
yield
here's a
here.
small cap 600. Maybe
And,
this
and
one.
and I'm using this as an example. Okay, so
Okay,
this
so what this is supposed to
apparently
be when it has
is
a
something to
short
do shorting some index, and I
definition,
thought I was
it's
going to pull
supposed
up
to mean
oh,
if
here's a
I
small cap
buy it.
600. Maybe this is
So
the one.
let's
Let's
say
try
I
this one.
buy 100 shares of this at 1822.
Okay,
If
so
whatever
what
index it
this
tracks
is
is
supposed to be
going
when it has a
down,
short uh,
this price
definition,
goes
it's supposed
up.
to mean
So
if I
if
buy
there's an
it.
inverse
So let's say I buy
if there's an
100 shares of
inverse
this at
ETF
1822.
for
If
Bitcoin,
whatever
if
index
there
it
is, I'm not
tracks
100% yet,
is
but
going
that's something you can look up and
down,
Google because
this
they make an
price
ETF for everything
goes
and they make a lot of
up.
inverse ETFs.
So if there
So
is an inverse and
I believe
if there's
they
an
may not use the word
inverse
short in
ETF
all of them.
for Bitcoin,
Oh, I
which I
could have just
think there
told you
is, and
what
I'm
the
not
short means.
100%
But
yet,
anyways,
but
yeah,
that's something we
that
can
would be
all go
cool
out
to
and
find.
Google
I bet they
because
have it.
they
And
make
that
an
way, if the
ETF
price
for
of
everything and they
Bitcoin
make a
goes
lot of inverse
down,
ETFs.
the price of
So
this
I
fund
believe
goes
they may
up.
not
So in
use
other
the word
words, you don't have
short
to
in all of
short it.
them.
You can just
Oh, I could have
buy
just wrote the
this.
word short
You can
too. But
buy an
anyways,
inverse
yeah,
ETF
that would be cool to
when you
find.
want
I
to
bet they
short
have it.
something.
And that
So
way,
they
if the
have
price
those
of
out
Bitcoin
there,
goes
and that's
down,
something that
the price of
you
this
know
fund goes
when
up.
I
So in
think
other
next
words,
time
you
we
don't have
circle
to
back
short it.
and we
You
have
can
another
just
chat,
buy this. You can
I'll bet
buy an inverse
I bet a
ETF
lot of us are going to Google
when
this
you
and go
want to
up and look and
short
find out. And
something.
I
So
certainly
they
Sure.
have.
have
I've
those
begun to
out
because I
there.
just realized
And
that
that's something
yeah,
that
the whole crypto market's
you know,
crashing.
we
This is
when
something
I
that
think next time we circle
if we
back
believe it
and we
continues to
have another
crash,
chat,
then we should be
um,
able to take
I'll
advantage
bet
of it by using some
a
of
lot
these
of us are going to
tools that
Google
we
this, of
have.
course, and look and find out. And I certainly am going to find a bunch of them because I just realized that, yeah, the whole crypto market's, crashing.
Yeah.
This is something that, if we believe it continues to crash,
Mm-hmm.
then we should be able to
Okay.
take advantage of it by using some of these tools that we have, you know?
Oh, let me take a look.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
you
if you
said
took
take the what
that
now? What am I doing with it?
Bido, overlaid
Yeah.
it on Bitcoin, drop it down to a 1 hour.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, that's an interesting chart right there.
Oh, let me take a look. Okay, you said take
Let me
Beto.
take a
Now,
look.
what am I doing with it?
I
Overlay
was
it with
okay.
Bitcoin
I'm gonna go take it to an hour. I'm gonna
and
go
take it down
to
to an hour.
overlay Bitcoin. Here we go. BTC. Here it is. All right.
Oh, interesting. I'm
So,
sorry. I'm
oh,
sorry. I'm sorry. I was
yeah, it literally
okay. I'm
is.
gonna go take it to
It's
an hour. I'm gonna go to
Bitcoin. Let
overlay
me change the
Bitcoin. Here we
color
go.
of
BTC.
Bitcoin
Here it is.
just so we
All right.
can really see the difference here. Let me
So,
go to the
oh,
setting, change the color, make that some kind of crazy bright
yeah, it
blue.
literally
There we go.
is. It's Bitcoin. Let me change the
Yeah, look
color
at that.
of
So,
Bitcoin
so
just so we
this
can
is
really see the
literally,
difference here. Let me go to the
yeah, it's
settings,
Bitcoin.
change the color, make that some
It's
kind of
Bitcoin,
crazy
yeah.
bright
So we're
blue.
literally
There we
looking.
go.
It tracks and moves. There's
Um,
some slight divergences,
yeah, look at that.
but for the
So
most part,
this is literally yeah, it's Bitcoin.
Yep, it is.
It's Bitcoin, yeah. So we're literally looking. It tracks and moves. There's some slight divergences,
oh, I see.
but
Yeah,
for the most part,
Yeah, it lines up
yeah.
pretty darn good.
So let's
It lines up
see.
pretty darn good. Yeah, this is this literally
Bitcoin
like
okay.
what a great
What I
thing we
did
found here.
is
This is
yeah,
really
zoom in a little
powerful.
bit,
I'll
and
tell you, man,
it
it's I
was it
mean
oh,
was
I
real
see.
it's pretty
really
easy
lining
nowadays to
up.
open these
Yeah,
brokerages,
it
and a
lines
lot of
up
you
pretty
might
darn
already
good.
have them. You
It
might
lines up
have
pretty darn good. Yeah, this literally like
access
what a great
to one of
thing
the
we
or think
found
about it.
here.
You
This is
actually
really
try to
powerful.
even a Robinhood
And
account.
I
Like
tell you, man,
this
I mean,
this is
it's
accessible
pretty
through
easy
that.
nowadays to open these brokerages, and a lot of you might already have them. You might have,
Okay.
you know, access to one of the, well, think about it. You actually probably with,
Yep.
even a Robinhood
Yep.
account, you
It
probably,
moves pretty consistent.
this is
It's
accessible through
pretty
that.
darn
Take your
consistent.
pro shares and
That
drop it
is
over to a line
amazing.
chart.
So there you
Okay,
go. I'm really happy this is one of them that we
there it
found
is.
because
Yep.
yeah, now
Yep.
you can
It
take
moves
advantage
pretty
of either
consistent.
direction.
That
So
is
you
Mhm.
can buy
pretty
Bitcoin
darn
or sell
consistent.
Bitcoin without
That
putting
is
Bitcoin. I mean,
amazing. So there you
and I
go.
think
I'm really
exponentially.
happy this is one of them that we found
Oh, did
because
I? Sorry here.
yeah,
Sorry,
now
Roger.
now
Yeah,
you can
yep,
take
yep.
advantage
I died for a
either
second there.
direction.
So
You can
yeah, I
buy
think
Bitcoin.
and it's not as big of a move. I mean, if you could buy one Bitcoin, of
Oh,
course,
I think we
you're
might have
going to be
lost you,
taking
Jay.
advantage of hundreds of
Sorry
dollars
guys, are you there? Yep,
in
yep. I
moves,
I,
Yep.
I died for a second. Yep.
measured moves. But
So yeah, I
this
think
still is
and
this is
it's
pretty
not as big of
powerful
a
if you want to
move.
put your toe
I
in the
mean,
water.
if you could buy one Bitcoin, of course,
Anyone
you're going
got
to be
any
taking
feedback?
advantage
Anything they
of,
want to comment?
hundreds of dollars in move, measured moves. But this still this is pretty powerful if you want to put your toe in the water.
Yeah.
Anyone got any feedback? Anything they want to
Well,
comment?
pro shares,
It's a
they
matter of time, I'm sure, and it's not going to be that
they're
long.
gonna
I
have
think this
a,
is.
hopefully, if
I'll tell
it
you,
gets approved, an inverse Bitcoin
the
ETF. They applied
Wall Street
on
and
April
world
6th,
finance
so
is moving
I don't know how
into this
long this
space,
process is gonna take.
and
It's a matter of
it's been the
time, I'm
writing
sure,
on
and
the
it's not
wall
going to be that
for a
long.
long
See, this
time.
is,
So
I
yeah,
tell you,
they are introducing all of the
the Wall
whatever you
Street
want to call
and
it,
and
all of
world
the
finance
tools
is moving into
that
this space,
investors are familiar
and
with and want to see
you could see the writing on
applied
the
to this
wall for a long time.
market.
So
So yeah,
yeah,
that inverse
they are
pro shares.
introducing
Yep, yep.
all of the,
You could totally see it
whatever you want to
if you were
call
trying
it,
to take advantage
all
of
of
one.
the tools
Yeah,
that
that's
that
great. I'm
investors
excited
are
about that.
familiar with and want to
So,
see
anyways, there's a couple of
applied
ideas
to
there
this
for being able to,
market.
use
So
the
yeah,
stock
that
market or
inverse
use
pro
tools that we
shares,
have
yep, that's
accessible
you,
to us
you could
without
totally
having to
see
go
it's going to
and
be here.
do
It's
the
not going to be
VPN
that
thing. Some of
long.
you guys probably already know how
Um,
to do that,
yeah,
so
that's great.
you don't have a
I'm
problem
excited about that.
being able to do it. But it is
So
nice
anyways,
to
there's
have
a couple of
options.
ideas there
You
for
know,
being able to,
using one
use the
account
stock
to do
market or
one thing
use
and another
tools that
account
we
to do
have
another thing.
accessible to us without having to go
Yeah,
and, do the
this is
VPN thing.
really
Some of you
cool
guys
that
probably already know how
we
to do
have
that,
these
so
options
you
to be
don't
able to
you don't
take
have a
advantage of some
problem
of these moves.
being able to do it. But it is nice to have options, you know, using one account to do one thing and another account to do another thing. Um, but yeah, this is really cool that we have these options to be able to take advantage of some of these moves.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Now, did you, Dan?
Yeah.
What did
Well, I had that
you had some stuff you
somewhere.
were
Let me see.
interested in
I
going
think
over?
it's gonna.
Oh,
What did you want to
I
look
I
at?
just wanted to go really look at the fear and greed index historically on a macro level.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I had that somewhere. Let me see. I got to figure out how to pull it up again now. Let's see.
Because if you look at some of the lowest points we've hit
Here we go.
in the last
So I have
6, 7 years,
alternative me has one. I don't know if
we hit a
you want
historic
to look at
low.
me,
Was
Mike?
that last week or 2 weeks
This one
ago?
must be.
Here we go. So I have alternative me has one. I don't know if that's the one that you originally sent me, Mike, but let's see if this one might be.
Yeah,
Now, let me see which one that might be.
looking
Was it called
into
Looking at Bitcoin?
Bitcoin has the heat map version laid
Yeah,
over
got
the
it.
price action.
Yep, there it is.
Hmm.
There it is. And
Yeah, I'm looking to see which one that
yeah,
might
here it
be.
is. Okay,
Look,
so
was
what's
it
going
called
on
Looking
here?
at Bitcoin?
So
Looking
are
into
Yeah, got it.
Bitcoin.com.
Yep, there it is.
So here.
There it is.
All right. So I got that
And
up here.
oh yeah, here it is. Okay, let me pull that up here.
It looks
So
like we are in the
we
extreme
are,
red,
let me
which
actually put
means
that into one of my
what does
tabs.
that mean? It
Let's
means
go
that we
here.
are in
All right.
extreme
So
fear.
I got that up here.
So yeah, that hasn't.
It looks like we are in the extreme
Although
red,
you know
which
what just
means,
happened? So
what does that
the
mean? It
S
means
and
that we are
P
in
broke above
extreme fear.
4,000,
Yep, we're in
and
fear.
apparently there is some news that's
Mhm.
or this
So yeah,
kind of
that hasn't
sentiment
that's not ending.
is that
Although you
the
know what
Fed
just happened?
signaled
So
easing
the
on rate
S&P
hikes.
broke above
And I don't know if that's
4,000,
simply their shock
and apparently
interpretation
there is some
or what it
news
is,
that's
but
or
um,
the
they,
street
all the trading
sentiment
activity
is that
went
the
took that
Fed
as positive
signaled
news,
easing
and that
on
drove the
on
S&P
rate
above
hikes.
4,000.
And I don't know if
Um,
that's simply
I
their
don't know if
short-term
it held above there, but
interpretation
anyway, so
or what it
that's
is,
something that I
but
like to look at
um,
too.
they, all
But
the
we're all
trading
looking for the
activity
turnaround. We want to
went
know,
and took that
when
as positive
when
news,
are we going to
and
start to
that drove
merge
the
and make the
S&P
new
above
leg
4,000.
upwards? We have all this
Um,
downward pressure
I don't know
happening
if it held
on the
above there, but
crypto
anyway, so
market.
that's something
Um,
that I like to look at too,
and
because
so
we're all
some of
looking
these
for the
articles that I'm
turnaround. We want to
finding
know,
referred. I
when are
read
we going to
one
start the
today that
march
kind of
and make the
mentioned
new leg
there was an
upwards? We
article
have all
written
this
by
downward
some guy
pressure
from
happening
Bloomberg,
on the crypto
and
market.
he was saying
Um,
that,
and
I don't know, I remember
some of these
Mike and I
articles
were
that I'm
talking how
finding
Luna kind of
referred.
contributed to some
Actually,
of
I
the
read one
Bitcoin downward
today. I was going
pressure,
to mention
and
there was an
as I was
article, and it was
talking,
by
I'm like,
some guy
well,
from Bloomberg,
we assume that
and
it's
he was
the
saying
S&P
that,
that
I
is
don't
sort
know.
of
I
dragging
remember
down the
Mike
financial
and I were
markets
talking
and
how
dragging down the
Luna
crypto
kind of
markets.
contributed to some of the
But
Bitcoin
what
downward
if it was the
pressure.
reverse?
And
We don't really
as I
know.
was
I mean,
talking,
it
I'm
could be
like, well,
Bitcoin that's bringing
we
down the
assume that it's
S&P.
the
Uh,
S&P that
and
is
this is,
sort of
of course,
dragging
just
down the
speculation,
financial
but it
markets and
does
dragging
remind us
down
that
the
the
crypto markets.
people that
But
are
what if it
speculators,
was the
either
reverse?
long or
We
short,
don't really know.
people
I
that
mean,
are
it could be
investing, hedge
Bitcoin that is
funds are
bringing
heavy
down the
in the
S&P.
crypto market.
Uh,
Well, they're also heavy
and
in
this
the
is, of
stock
course,
market.
just
So
speculation,
I
but it
like to
does
look.
remind us that
Well,
the
okay, let me back
people
up.
that
So
are
one
speculators, either long or
market
short,
can start to
people that
affect
are
the others,
investing,
just
hedge
like the
funds are
housing
heavy
market
in the crypto
crash that
markets.
happened in
Well, they're also
2008
heavy in the
ended up
stock
bringing
market.
down
So
every other
I like to
market with
look.
it because the
Well,
same
okay, let me
people
back up.
that are
So
invested in all these
one
different markets, diversified,
market can
are
start to affect
having
the others,
fear.
just like the
So they
housing
start pulling
market
money out,
crash that
and so
happened in
yeah, that's how they say it can
2008
infect
ended up bringing
the other
down
markets, and
every
that's
other market with
probably
it
what's
because the
happening
same
right now,
people
both with
that are
crypto, the
invested in
stock
all these
market,
different
and
markets and diversified
all the other
are
indexes that exist.
having
So,
fear.
anyways,
So they start pulling
what I'm
money out,
talking about is
and
looking
so yeah, that's how they
for
say it can infect
areas
the other
of
markets. And that's
positive
probably what's
market
happening right
movement,
now, both with
and so I
crypto, the
like to look
stock
to the
market,
S&P
and,
for some of that.
all the other indexes that
And
exist.
I have that
So
marked
anyways,
up. Let's pull this
what I'm
over.
talking about is looking
Here we go. So here
for
is, I
areas
have the
of
S&P, the
positive market
Kill
movements. And so I
BTC.
like to look to the S&P
I'm
for
gonna
some
have
of
to
that.
remind myself too
And I
again.
have that marked
ETF,
up.
Mike. I
Let's
hope you
pull
wrote that
this
down because
over.
I didn't.
Here we go. So here is, I have the
Yeah,
S&P.
we're
Let
recording.
me
Good.
kill
uh, okay,
BTC.
so here is the
I'm gonna
S&P,
have to remind myself
and
too of that ETF. Mike, I hope you wrote
ooh,
that
let's
down because I
see here.
didn't.
So
uh,
the big
let's see
Well,
here.
psychological
it's a good thing we're
number
recording.
for the
Yeah, we're
S&P
recording.
was
Good.
4,000. So let me
uh,
put my
okay,
moving
so
averages
here
on
is
it.
the S&P,
Let me move back.
and
Let me move back to
ooh,
candles.
let's see here. So
Now I'm on the one
the big
hour chart.
psychological number
So
for the S&P
as
was
you can see, when we're
4,000.
looking
I
at the
just
one
put
hour
my
chart,
moving
we
averages
just
on it.
at
Let
every
me move
rally
back.
we
Let me
bounce
move back
above
to
the 200, which
candles.
is the blue line,
Now I'm
and
on the
that's
1 hour
significant to a
chart.
lot of the
So
investors and hedge funds and traders on Wall
as you can
Street.
see, when we're
Every
looking at
time
the
we
one
bust
hour
it above
chart, we've
200,
just, at every
it just
rally,
got
we
rejected
bounced
again.
above the
It
200,
didn't
which is the
couldn't treat
blue
the
line.
200 period
And that's
moving average as
significant to a lot
supporting,
of the
and so just
investors
kept
and
on
hedge funds
crashing
and
again.
traders on Wall
And
Street.
so all those
Every time
stocks
we
embedded
busted
in the
above
S&P 500 kept
200,
selling off
um,
across
it
the
it
entire
just
market.
got rejected
And
again.
there was
It
some
couldn't
hope that we kind of
treat the
came
200
and
period moving
tested
average
that
as
again. We could
support
see here
again,
in May
and so it
4th,
just kept on crashing
it broke
again.
above
And
again.
so all those
And of
stocks
course,
embedded in
it
the
came
S&P
back
500
and
kept
broke below
selling
that
off
200 again and
across
again.
the entire
So
market.
now that it
And
happened,
there was some
um,
hopes every time it
yeah,
came and tested that
we
again. We can
still
see
are
here on
in a
May 4th,
bearish sentiment.
it broke above
You know,
again.
this could
And of
just
course,
be a
it came back
repeat
and
of
broke
what's
below that
happened
200
time
again and
and
again.
time and time
So
before
now that
for
it
a long
happened,
time.
um,
But
yeah,
when it got too low
we
into the
still are
30,
in
it's
a
that's when
bearish
people start getting
sentiment.
really scared.
You know, this
And
could just be a
if you look at the
repeat
support
of
level I
what's
have down
happened
here,
time
it's
and
about in
time
the
and time
3870
before
area,
for a
the
long
30
time.
3850s
But
area.
When
see
it got
it
too
was a
low into the
region of this
38s, that's when
repeated
people started getting really
rejection of
scared.
support
And
on the
you
12th,
look at the support level I have
again
down
on
here,
the
this bottom
19th, and then it
3870
broke
areas,
through
3850s
on the
area.
20th.
You can see
But then
we're
it
in
did
this
recover,
region of this repeated
and it then came back and
rejection of
tested it
support
again
here
on
on
the
the 12th,
24th. So now,
again
what
on
can we
the
expect? We're going
19th,
to be
and then it
testing
broke through
the top end
on the
of
20th,
this channel that we're
but
in.
then it
Let me get rid
recovered
of this line here.
and
So
then it came back and
we're
tested it
testing the top
again
end. So we're
on the
testing the
24th. So
4,000
now
area
what can we expect?
right
We're going to
now,
be
and we
testing
broke above the
the
4,000
top
area,
end
but we need to take
of this
out
channel that
this
we're in.
previous
Let me get rid of
pivot
this
up here
line
that happened
here.
on the 17th.
So we're
So
testing the
until you know,
top end. So we're
so
testing
what do we
the
expect? Well, we're probably
4,000
just gonna
area
reject off that.
um,
We'll
right
probably
now,
bounce
and
back down,
we
test
broke
out the
above the 4,000
38s
area, but
again,
we need to take
bounce back
out
up, test the
this
40s until, of course,
previous
something happens
pivot up
one
here
way or
that
the
happened on
other,
the
or we just keep
17th.
channeling sideways.
So
But
until,
what I'm hoping
so
for
what do we
is a
expect? Well,
recovery
we're
in the
probably just
stock
going to
market,
reject off that.
and
We're
then
probably going to bounce back
when
down, test out the
I am
38s
convinced,
again,
when we take
bounce
out
back
these
up, test the
previous,
40s until, of course, something
um,
happens one way or the
resistance
other,
areas,
or we
and
just
we
keep
start to
channeling
see
sideways.
higher
But
highs,
what I'm hoping
higher
for
lows,
is a recovery
higher
in the
high,
stock
higher
market.
low. When we start to see that,
And then
and we're
when
trading at this,
I am
above
convinced,
the
when we
200
take
period
out these
moving average,
previous
and we see
um,
sort of this reverse
resistance
action that we
areas
see
and we
on this
start to
chart,
see
when
higher
we have the
highs,
alignment
higher
of
lows,
these
higher
moving
high,
averages
higher low. When we start to see
um,
that, and we're
reverse.
trading at
When we
those,
start seeing that
above
activity,
the 200
that's
period
when I
moving average,
really
and we
anticipate
see sort of this
the
reverse
crypto
action
markets
that we see on this chart, where we
bouncing.
have the alignment of these moving averages
Okay.
reversed. When we start seeing that activity, that's when I really anticipate the crypto
Oops, I just
markets
fell today.
um,
There it
to
is.
do the same.
Okay,
They
so
throw a
this looks
Gaussian
like,
channel on there
and
once.
yeah, this looks like it's
Okay.
kind of taking the average mean. Are you operating on a 1 hour chart, Mike? Or you want me to put it on the daily, or what? What do
Oh,
you
if I
think?
can spell today. There it is. Okay, so this looks like
Looks like it's
and
moving.
yeah,
Let me
this
take
looks
out
like
the
it's
moving
kind of
averages.
taking the average mean. Are you operating on a 1 hour chart, Mike? Or you want me to put it on the
So if I
daily or
go to
what? What do
daily,
you think?
Yeah, the 1 hour is interesting. Let me drop over to
oh
daily
yeah, that's
once.
definitely different. Yeah,
Let me
so
take out my
Ooh,
moving
yeah,
average.
yeah,
Let me
yeah.
take out my
yeah,
moving
actually,
average.
just
So and
switch
that's
them
probably
both
why a
on.
lot of
They both tell a very interesting
trading
story.
traders are really
So if I go
freaking
to
out right
daily,
now on
Yeah,
Wall
drop the
Street.
daily
A lot of
once.
the hedge
let's see.
funds,
You'll look at it, doesn't
because
look so
yeah,
pretty.
this
Oh
is
yeah,
this
that's
is a
definitely
scary looking
different. Yeah,
chart
that's a
here.
different story there. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because really, if you
So
look at
and that's probably
our
why a lot of
previous,
trading
I guess,
traders are really
if you look at
freaking
this
out right
measured
now
move all the way,
on
let me
Wall
get rid of
Street.
this
A
ad
lot
here
of the
so I don't
hedge
interrupt you
funds
guys. Okay, you
because
take the
yeah,
measured move from April
this
the
is a scary looking
24th,
chart here.
and you look at the
Because
stop
really,
loss. Let me draw
if
a
you look
line
at
through this,
our
and I'm going
previous,
to go all the way
you
from
know,
that
I
bottom
guess
all the way
if you look at
to
this
the top
measured
of the
move
measured
all the
move
way, let me get rid of this
on a
ad here.
daily.
Hold on one second, guys.
Now,
Okay, if you
if
take
we're
the measured move
talking
from
your
April of
average,
2020 and
retracement
you
is
look at the
around the
stock market, let me
50%.
draw a
That's
line through
that's
that.
just a
And I'm
an
going to go all the
example.
way from that
It's not
bottom
guaranteed,
all the way
but
up to the
let's
top of the
suggest that
measured
we could
move
go there.
on
So
a
that
daily.
puts us somewhere
Now,
here. If you look at these
if we're
previous
talking your
areas where we had a
average,
lot of buying and selling,
retracement is
or
around the
actually,
50%.
yeah, that's
That's
okay.
just
Let's go there.
a rough
Um,
average. It's it's not
that
guaranteed,
puts us around
but
35.
let's suggest that we
So
could
so
go there. Well, that puts us
it could
somewhere here. If you
definitely
look at these previous
uh,
areas where
break
we had a
down
lot
and
of buying and
continue
selling,
to
or
make this
actually,
move down
yeah, that's
past
actually a real
this
strong area there.
35. Now this is the
Um,
S&P.
that puts
So
us
if
around
we
35.
layer, let's go ahead and
So
layer
it could definitely
the Bitcoin
uh
for giggles.
break down and continue to make its move
BTC.
down to test this 35. Now this is the
Not a very
S&P.
telling chart on the
So
daily.
if
This
we
is
layer, let's
oh
go ahead
boy,
and
yeah, boy, that
layer
just shows the rise of that shows the rise of Bitcoin.
the Bitcoin for
Let me just
giggles.
see if I can get closer once. So I like to look at the
BTC,
S&P. Here we go. This is a little
not a very
different.
telling chart
This
on
is a
the
little different.
daily, is it?
Let me
Oh
let's
boy,
get
yeah,
rid of
boy,
this
that just shows the
downtrend.
rise of that shows the rise of
Okay.
Bitcoin.
So
Let me
I know
see if I can
we're
get closer
kind of
once.
cluttered, but
So
if you look,
I
the
like to look at
S&P
the
acts as
S&P.
this
Here we
kind of
go.
moving
This is a
average,
little
like a
this
mean
is a little
average
better.
of Bitcoin.
Let me
Bitcoin
get rid of the
when the
Donchian.
S&P is moving up,
Hide
Bitcoin is
that.
moving
Okay.
up, it
So
overshoots it really
I know
far,
this looks
and
cluttered.
then it
But if
comes
you
back
look,
down
the
and then it
S&P acts
undershoots it.
as if it's a moving
And
average,
on
like
the
a
daily
mean
chart, it's not very
average of
telling, but you know
Bitcoin.
what? I'm wondering,
Bitcoin
oh,
when
let
it
me do this.
when the
Let me
S&P is moving up,
let
Bitcoin's
me
moving up, it overshoots it
this
really far,
correlation has
and
only
then
been
it
happening
comes back
recently,
down, and then it
and that's because
undershoots
the
it.
speculation
And
that a lot of
on the
the
daily chart,
institutional
it's not very
trading
telling,
that
but you
came
know
from the
what? I'm
traditional
wondering,
stock
oh,
market
let me
is
do this.
merging
Let me move
into the crypto
let me move
markets.
because this
So
this correlation has only
let
been
me see
happening
something else.
recently.
I'm gonna go back to the
And that's
hour.
because the
Here we go.
speculation that
Okay,
a
even
lot
a
of the
little
institutional
more evident
trading
here when
that
you start
came
looking
from the
at the
traditional
hourly
stock
charts.
market is
Hey,
merging
how's our leg
into
doing?
the crypto markets. So let me just see
Oh,
something
okay.
else once. I'm going to go back to the hour. Here we go. Okay, it's a
So
little more evident
so you
here
can
when you
see.
start
Okay, so
looking
you
at
can
the
see the
hourly
Bitcoin
chart.
chart now
Hey, how's our leg,
on
Mike?
the hourly. Okay, so
Let
let
me.
me paint
I
this
haven't
in
turned on
color again so I can
it,
see a
Oh,
little
okay.
better.
the
Let's see.
audio
I'll
at all,
use
but
light blue.
the
That won't work.
charts.
Sorry.
It's
So so
Am
what
I?
I'm seeing here,
You
and
can
people are
okay.
writing
So you
about
can
this
see the
now,
Bitcoin chart
the
now
correlation between the
oh
that
yeah.
I
S&P
got
and
on
Bitcoin.
the hourly. Okay.
It's only something that's
So
been happening more recently, and that's
let me paint
because,
this thing a
like I
different color
said,
again so I can see a
um,
little better. Let's go to this
the
light
people
blue.
that are
Yeah, that
becoming
works.
and
All right.
entering into the
So
crypto space
what we're
are
seeing here, and people are writing
more
about this
already
now, the
exposed into
correlation
the
between the
stock market
S&P and
space.
Bitcoin.
So we're
It's only
starting to
something that has been
see
happening more recently, and that's
this
because, like I
correlation
said,
between
um,
the S&P
the
and
people that are
Bitcoin, and
becoming and
that's
entering
why
into the
I
crypto
really
space
keep
are
coming back to the
literally
S&P
already exposed
as that
into the
leading
stock market
indicator
space.
or that
So we're starting to
um,
see this
the
correlation
confirmation of
between
confluence.
the S&P
And so when I
and
start seeing the
Bitcoin. And
S&P
that's why I really
rally,
keep turning
we
back to the
should
S&P
we should
as that
see
leading indicator or that
Bitcoin
um,
rally as well.
the
And
confirmation of
it's not
confluence.
guaranteed, but I mean,
And so when I
we're gonna have
start
to see
seeing
how
the
things
S&P
go.
rally,
You know, for
we
all we know, with
should
deregulation
we
and downward
should
pressure on the crypto
see
markets, that could be that that may
Bitcoin
not be true. So
rally
we
as
may get a
well.
decoupling. But
And
so far,
it's not guaranteed,
that's the way
but
we
I
see
mean,
it. And like I said, there's
we're
a
gonna
lot of
have to
people
see
now
how
writing
things
about this. If you guys go back now and start
go. You
googling
know, for all we know,
um,
with the regulation and
similarities
downward
or
pressure on the crypto
correlation
markets,
between
that could be that
S&P
maybe that might
and
not be true.
Bitcoin,
We might
I'm
have a
sure
decoupling,
I found an
but
article
so far
actually, and it
that's
was
the way
some
we
analyst, a
see it. And like
well-known
I said,
analyst
there's more
that
people now writing
identified
about
this
this. If you guys go
correlation. And
back
it's
now and start
recent. This was like
Googling
I think maybe a week,
similarities or correlation between
maybe. So,
S&P
anyways,
and Bitcoin, I'm
that
sure,
is going
you
to
know,
be
I
one of
found
the
an article
confirmations,
actually,
the
and it was
confluence
some
that we're,
analyst,
you
a
know,
Wall Street
I
analyst
me
that
personally
identified
should
this
believe that we are
correlation, and it's
actually
recent. This is like,
turning
I think maybe a
around
week,
in,
uh,
an upward
maybe.
trend
So,
or a
anyways,
continuation of that downtrend.
that is going to
So that's
be
something to
one of the
think about when you guys are looking
confirmations,
at
the
the markets.
confluence
You know,
that
pay
we're, you know,
attention to the
I
S&P.
need
I
personally
use,
to believe
you
that
know,
we are
you can
actually
use when you type in S&P.
turning
I like
around
typing in
in
S
an
and
upward
write this
trend
one down
or
if you
a
guys can.
continuation of that downtrend.
E
So that's
like
something to think
Edward,
about when you
S
guys are looking
like
at the
Sam,
markets. You
and
know, pay
that
attention to
then
the
if you're
S&P.
screening
I
for it, matter of fact, let
use
me drop that in
you know,
here so you
you can
guys
use when you
see.
type in
So you can see. I
S&P.
don't know if you can
I
see that.
like
Oh, you
typing
can't
in
see it.
S.
Okay, it's E
Write
like
this one
Edward,
down if
S
you guys
like
can.
Sam,
E
and what's going to come up
like
is
Edward,
you're going to see
S
the
like
S&P
Sam,
futures
and that and
market.
then
If I
if you're
go to
screening for it, matter of fact, let me drop that in
futures,
here for you guys to show you.
so
So you can see. I don't know if you can
ES1
see that. Oh, you can't
and
see
then
it. Okay,
exclamation.
it's
But if you
E
type
like
in
Edward,
ES,
S
I'm
like
pretty sure.
Sam,
Let me just see.
and
If
what's
you
going
just
to
type
come
in
up
ES, yeah, it's
is
going to
you're going to
bring up
see the S&P
the E
futures
mini
market. If I go
S&P
to
futures. Now, this is the
futures,
futures
so
contract,
ES1
and
and then
it's
exclamation.
the
But if you
top
type in
one,
ES, I'm
and
pretty sure.
that
Let me just see.
actually
If you
is
type in ES, yeah, it's going to
representative.
bring
It
up
runs for
the
the most part
E
24
mini
hours a day, the futures
S&P
market. So
futures.
that's
Now,
why it
this
lines
is
up
a
so well with
futures
Bitcoin. If you
contract,
type in
and
S&P, what you're going to end up with
it's
is
the
an
top
ETF,
one, and that
like the
actually
SPX or the
is
SPY. The
representative.
only
It
downside
runs
about that when I
for the
do
most part
that
24
is
hours a day, the futures
what I
market. So
get
that's why it
is
lines up so
the
well with
parts of the market
Bitcoin.
where,
If you
the
type
market's
in
not open. So watch, if I
S&P, what
go
you're going to end up with is an
SPY,
ETF,
oh no, I'm sorry. Oh
like the
yeah, that's right,
SPX or the
ETF,
SPY. The only downside
or
about that when I
SPX. Let's
do
go
that
SPX.
is what I
All
get
right, so here we go. Let's
is
do SPX.
the
And so
parts of
now
the
what
market
if I type
where the
this in?
market's not
Well,
open. So watch
now
if I go
there's these gaps.
SPY,
There's these big
Oh, no, no, no.
gap.
I'm sorry. Well, yeah, that's
Um,
right. Let's go here. All.
and
Or
I don't know
SPX.
if I
Let's go
like those
SPX.
gaps because it's not continuous. Then
All right, so here we go.
to
Let's do
move it.
SPX.
So we'll
And so
go
now
look at
watch
this
if I
chart.
type
This
this in.
really does
Well,
look like
now
it's holding up
there are these gaps.
amazingly
There are these big gaps,
even better than
um,
my other chart.
and
Interesting.
I don't. I
Okay,
don't know if
well,
I like those
experiment with
gaps
that then.
because
What do you?
it's not
That looks
continuous
like it
then
lines up
with
quite
the movement of Bitcoin.
amazingly.
Although looking
I
at
mean, do
this
you guys
chart,
agree?
this
Look at
really
that.
does look like it's lining up amazingly well, even better than my other chart. Interesting.
Yeah, it
Okay, well,
yeah,
experiment with
the
that
S
then.
and
Maybe
P, yeah,
that
the
looks like it
SPX
lines up quite
the
amazing.
Bitcoin,
I mean,
it
do you
looks
guys
like they
agree?
are
Look at
in
that.
tandem. Now you'll notice the blue is
Yeah,
exponential
there's
in its
definitely some
moves,
interesting movements in those
and yeah, you
charts.
could say that's
It's
due to Luna,
Yeah,
uncanny.
yes,
but
the
remember
S&P, yeah, the
when
SPX
the S&P
and
rallies
Bitcoin, they
and
look like they are
Bitcoin
in tandem. Now,
always
you'll notice the
overshoots the
blue is
S&P
exponential
exponentially.
in its
But if
moves.
you look at the
And
what
yeah,
they
you
call
could
the
say that's due to
fractal
Luna.
moves,
Um,
when you hear that term, when they
but
say fractals,
remember
what they're
when
referring to is
the S&P
little
rallies and
little
Bitcoin always
copies
overshoots the S&P
of
exponentially. But if you look at
moves that
what they
look the
call the
same.
fractal moves, when
And
you
you
hear
can
that
see
term and they say
fractal
fractals, what
identified
they're
moves.
referring to
So
is
if
little
you look at the
little
S&P
copies
and you see
of
this little teeny move that's happening
of
anywhere,
moves
um,
that look the
you'll
same.
see a little micro move
And you can
almost
see
mirror
fractal
imaged
identified
in
moves.
Bitcoin, but
So
it's exponential
if you
in
look
this.
at the
Sometimes we have these moves where
S&P
Bitcoin jumps from one
and
area
you
and
see
it
this little
reaches
teeny move that's
further
happening
exponentially.
anywhere, um,
So, anyways, that's something
you'll
to take
see a
note
little
of.
micro
That
move
the
almost
fractals
mirror
are
imaged
very,
in
very
Bitcoin,
similar.
but it's
It's just that
exponential. And
Bitcoin
sometimes
is
we have
a
these
little more
moves where
volatile
Bitcoin
when
jumps
it
from
does
one area and
move from its
it
ranges.
reaches further
One
exponentially.
range to the next. It has
So anyways, that's
exponential
something to
range
take
moves
notice
or
that the
measured moves.
fractals
Anyone
are
got any questions on
very,
that?
very similar. It's just that Bitcoin is a little more volatile when it does move from its ranges from,
I
one
would
range to the
say
next. It
that,
has
well, when you
exponential
enter
range
in
moves or measured moves.
the moving
Anyone got
average,
any
that's
questions
what
on
I
that?
would go on. I would go
So
off
I
of
guess
the
the
moving average,
question I would have is
and
which one's the
you know
leading indicator?
if the S&P is trading above the moving average, we should start
I
seeing
would say
more.
that, well, when you
In other
enter
words, if we're
in
trending up on the
the
S&P,
moving averages,
then
that's
we
what I would
should
go
be
on.
seeing
I would go off
a
of the moving
trend
average.
in
And
Bitcoin
if
going
if the
upward as
S&P is
well.
trading
It's
above
just
the
that
moving
it's got to
average,
keep
we're going
doing
to
this
start seeing
exponential
more.
overshoot. Like again,
In other
over
words,
here on
if
the
we're
left side
trending
of the
up
chart,
on the
we're seeing an
S&P,
overshoot
then we
during
should be seeing um,
above the
a
S&P,
trend in
and then it meets the
Bitcoin
S&P from time to
going
time. But
upward
then
as
it
well. It's
when it
just
moves
that
down, it
it's going to
shoots
keep
below. So
doing
I
this
can expect it to
exponential
come back up,
overshoot. Like again, over
touch
here on
on
the
the
left side of the
S&P, and
chart,
shoot
you're
above the
seeing an
S&P
overshoot
again,
during,
exponentially, and then come back to its
above the
mean and keep doing
S&P,
that
and then it meets
one
the
way or the
S&P
other,
from time to
trending up or
time, but
trending
then
down. So
when it moves down,
it's
it
quite
shoots below. So
possible
I
that
can
there's a
expect it
lot of
to
really
come
good
back up,
moves for the
touch on the
altcoins and
S&P and shoot
Bitcoin,
above the
even
S&P again,
in this bearish marketplace.
exponentially, and then come back to its mean and
Think
keep
about it.
doing that
Way back here
one way or
on
the other,
March,
trending up or
looks like
trending
March
down. So
21st,
it's quite possible that there's a lot
the
of really
S&P was
good moves
it was moving
for the
upward. The S&P
altcoins
was kind
and
of rallying.
Bitcoin, even
Well,
in this bearish
Bitcoin
marketplace.
rallied as well. It
Think about
rallied
it. Way back here
just
on March, looks
relatively
like March
speaking. So
21st.
could that have been a good
If
opportunity
the
for someone
S&P was kind of it was
with
moving
a good
upward, the
swing
S&P
trade
was kind of rallying.
bought
Well,
Bitcoin and just caught that move?
Bitcoin rallied as well, but it
It's hard to say
rallied
how far to that
further,
move. But yeah,
just
if you
relatively
followed with a
speaking. So
stop maybe as it moved
could that
upward,
have been a good
you've maxed
opportunity for someone to
some
catch,
profit
a good swing trade?
possibly.
Bought Bitcoin and just caught that move. It's hard to say how far to ride that move, but yeah, if you followed with a stop maybe as you moved upward, could you have maxed some profit possibly?
Hmm.
So when do you think
Right. Oh
the
yeah. And
alignment
and
happened
you
here?
brought up
I've
that's
been
a long
kind of
point
playing
too.
around with this chart
Looking back
in
further,
trading
because
view,
there
looking to
was
see
remember
because if you
there
take it out
there was no
quite far,
correlation. It was
it
decoupled
it,
completely
it
from
doesn't line up.
the stock market or from
Right.
But
institutional
the
Oh
investors.
the
yeah.
the
And and you're right. It doesn't line up the best. Looking back further, because
right.
remember, yeah,
Good
there was no
question.
correlation. It was decoupled completely from the stock market or from institutional investors. Right.
Yeah, it's hard to
Right.
say.
Yeah.
It looks
So
like this
when did
correlation has
I'm trying to
been
figure out when that
sort of
actually started to
recent.
line up.
Um,
It looks like
Good
maybe
um,
question.
Boy, unless I'm looking at this completely
That,
wrong.
I was gonna guess it somewhere around
I'm gonna add
November.
that
I was guessing
up.
fall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
fall.
hard to say. It looks like this correlation has been sort of recent. Um,
I almost
yeah,
want to say like October of last year.
that I was gonna guess it somewhere around
Maybe.
November.
Yeah.
I was guessing fall. Yeah, late
Yep.
fall.
Yeah, because when I scroll these,
Yeah.
as soon as
Yeah.
I get into that area, that's when I see them. What is that referred to as confluence?
Confluence. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that chart. So
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
the question though is because like I had said that crypto revolution,
Mm-hmm.
he was saying
Yeah.
that he has gotten his biggest edge trading this market now
Yeah.
uh,
I
with that
people
as
got
a
to be
signaling
noticing this.
tool. And I,
I
I
stumbled on it
don't quite
just by
understand yet
accident. What I
exactly
like to
how he's
do,
using it,
and Mike, I kind of
Hmm.
mentioned some of this
but
stuff in the
I just
past,
heard
Yeah.
him
where I
say
like
that
to
like
take
yesterday
the
in a video I was
big
watching.
moving indexes that everybody
Yeah,
considers
people got
indicators
to be
of the
noticing
entire
this.
all the
I
different markets.
stumbled on it
You have
just by
oil,
accident. What I like to
you
do,
have
and
gold,
Mike, I
you
kind of
have the
mentioned some of this stuff in
S&P,
the past, where
you
I
have
like to take
the
the
U.S.
big
Treasury market,
moving indexes
the
that
10-year note yield
everybody
of the
like
U.S. Treasury
considers
market, right? The
indicators
T-bills.
of the entire, like all the different
The
markets.
transportation
You have
indexes, they call them
oil,
trannies.
right? You have
So
gold.
yeah,
You have
and
the
so I
S&P.
occasionally I like to take
You have the U.S.
instruments
Treasury market,
or
the 10-year note
any
really
sort
of
of
the
equity
U.S. Treasury
in any
market,
sort of
right? The
market
yields,
and layer that stuff
the
over it.
transportation
And
indexes, they
I
call them the
thought, to tell you the
trannies.
truth, I thought
So yeah,
that Venezuela
and
was
so I
emptying
occasionally I like to
when
take
they were having their hyperinflation in 2018,
instruments
and
or
people were taking their paychecks
any
and
sort
they
of
were dumping
equity
it into
in any sort of
Bitcoin.
market
I
and
thought for
layer that stuff
sure
over it.
that
And
Bitcoin
I
was
thought,
going to
to tell you the
correlate
truth,
with
I thought
gold because
because
that's
Venezuela
what
was
gold is
emptying
to many
their
countries.
when they were having their
And we
hyperinflation in
especially
2018, and
in
people
a
were taking
place
their
where you have
paychecks and they were dumping it
hyperinflationary
into
currency,
Bitcoin.
you want
I
to
thought for
preserve
sure
your
that
your
Bitcoin
value
was going to
of your
correlate with
earnings, and
gold
so
because
that's
that's
what
what
traditionally
gold
precious
is to
metals have
many
done.
countries.
So
They
I was convinced
especially
that
in a
that's
place
what
where you have a
Bitcoin would do. It would be sort of like
hyperinflationary currency,
mimic
you
gold,
want to
but that
preserve
didn't
your
happen, unfortunately.
your
So
value
it's very
of your
interesting how things
earnings,
evolve.
and so
But
that's what
anyways, so yeah,
traditionally
people got to be
precious metals
noticing
have
this
done.
now, and ever since I
So
ran that
I was
Bloom,
convinced that
read that
you
Bloomberg
know that's what
article.
Bitcoin would do. It
Oh,
would
I'm
be
sorry, this
sort of
other
like
article by different
mimic
analysts,
gold, but
and
that
there are
didn't
people taking
happen.
notice.
It's
And I
it's
don't
just
know how
very
well it's being
interesting how
covered,
things
really.
evolved.
But anyways, I'm sure we're
But
going to read
anyways,
more
so
about
yeah,
it.
people got to be noticing this now, and ever since I ran that read that Bloomberg article, or I'm sorry, this other article by a different analyst, and there are people taking notice, and I don't know
Yeah, I
how
think
well
that
it's being
there's
covered really,
opportunity
but
there,
anyways, I'm sure we're going to read more
especially
about it.
when you're able to couple this with some of
Yeah,
the
well,
ETFs we talked about.
I'm interested to see
If
how
you're
to
able to
use
buy
that
that
as some sort
ETF
of
when you
tool,
knew,
some sort of
let's say,
indicator.
the S&P
Yeah,
was
I think
rallying.
there's
So if the
opportunity
S&P
there,
rallies and
especially when you're
Bitcoin
able
didn't
to
come
couple
up
this with some of the
to its
ETFs we talked
mean,
about.
to the
You know,
S&P,
if you were able to buy that
there's a
ETF
large
when you knew,
a lot of
let's
times it
say
overshoots the S&P, so it
the
swings
S&P
past
was
it
rallying.
during its
So
rally,
if the S&P
and it ends
rallies
up
and
swinging
if
pretty high.
Bitcoin
So I
can
wonder if
come
a
up
guy could use that
to its
as sort
mean,
of
to the
the
S&P,
entry.
there's a
Once
large
Bitcoin comes and tests the
a lot of
S&P,
times it
could that
overshoots the
possibly be the
S&P, so it
places that you
swings
want to look at?
past it during its
Getting in.
rally, and it ends up swinging pretty high. So I wonder if a guy could use that as sort of the entry. You know,
Right.
once
Well,
Bitcoin
Yeah.
comes in and tests the S&P, could that possibly be the places that you want to look at, getting in?
well, if we look at the price action right now, Bitcoin is dropping compared
Hmm.
to the ES1 CME
Yeah.
Mini.
Right.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
So,
right now we are still
the question becomes
it's a
then,
big test for the
is that
S&P right now. It's a big test, and
tomorrow are
so
we going to see a
it's
drop in there?
hitting resistance.
Once market's more
And if
active?
if I was just to guess it,
Yeah,
I see
yeah. I think
uh, it.
right now we are
Yeah, we
still
probably will
in a
reject off that. We're
it's a
gonna
big
reject off
test for
that
the S&P right now. It's a
four
big
thousands
test, and
area,
so it's
and it's gonna
still
have to
it's
come back
hitting
and test at least
resistance.
50% of its
And if I,
previous
I
movement.
mean, if I was just to
And
guess
if
it,
it
just
breaks
from what I
below that,
see,
then it's going to have to
uh,
come down and test,
it
that
yeah, we
previous
probably
area of
will
support,
reject
which is
off that.
somewhere around that,
We're going to reject off that
three
four
three
thousands
thousand.
area, and it's
Hold
going
on
to
a
have to
minute.
come back and test at least 50% of
Oh,
its
it's
measured
showing.
move.
Okay,
And if
to
it
delete
breaks below
completely. But
that, then
anyways,
it's
yeah.
going to have to
So
come
so
down and test,
3,500
that
probably.
previous area of
So yeah,
support, which is
there's
somewhere
there's
around that,
a
you know,
lot of
three
worry in the
thousand.
markets right now with
What
the
was that?
S&P.
Let me hide
But if we
this.
break above,
Oh, it
if we
doesn't
can
show me.
clear,
Okay, I'd have to delete it
let
completely.
me
But
see
anyways, yeah. So
let
the
me pull it up real quick so
3,500s
we can see the
probably.
numbers. Here we go. If we
So
break
yeah,
above
there's
that
a
previous
lot
pivot
of
area around
worry in the
4,100
markets
on the
right now with the
S&P, we
S&P.
can start to really, and if it
But
really
if we
breaks
break
above it,
above,
but
if we can
that's not it
clear,
yet. It needs to come
let me
back
delete
and
that
test then.
Bitcoin chart
So
here
we
so I
have to
can see the
see
numbers. Here we
something
go. If we break
like this
above
is what I'm
that
looking for.
previous
I'm looking
pivot area
for,
around
and just no
4,100
telling if this
on
will
the
happen tomorrow,
S&P,
but just
we can start to
hypothetically
really, and
saying,
if it really
let's
breaks
say we
above it,
came
but
here to here,
that's
let's
not it
be
yet. It needs
realistic.
to
Well,
come
let's say we
back and
went
test then. So we have to
from
see something
here
like this. This
to
is what I'm looking for.
here.
I'm looking for,
Let's just
and
say, let's take
no
the
telling if
measured
this will happen
move
tomorrow, but
right
just
around
hypothetically
there.
saying,
So
like,
now we're gonna
if
come
let's say we
and we're
came
gonna have to
here to here,
retrace.
that
Let's
seems
say
realistic. And then
retracement's
let's say
roughly
we
gonna
went
be somewhere here then,
from
because this is the
here
area of
to
old
here.
resistance
Let's
becomes
just
new
say, let's take the
support.
measured move
And if
right
we
around
draw that
there. Now we're
line,
going to
it would
come
be right
and we're going to
here.
have to retrace. Let's
So
say
this
the
is what we would have to
retracement's
see.
roughly
We'd
going
have
to
to
be
see
somewhere here then,
a
because this is
break
the
above
area
our
of
support area where we have these
old
pivots
resistance
previous.
becomes new
Once it
support.
breaks above that, no
And
matter
I'll
how high it
draw
goes, it
that
needs to come back
line. It
to
is right
test
here.
that previous area.
So this
And
is what we would
then
have
it
to see.
needs to
We'd have to
reject
see
off of that
um, a break
support
above
at
that
the
support
upside
area
and
where we
make
have these pivots
a new
previous.
high.
Once it
And
breaks above that, no matter how
for
high it
that
goes, it
to
needs to come
happen,
back to test
we
that
see
previous area.
something like
And
this. And
then
then
it
we would
needs to
want to see
reject
another
off of that
um,
support back to the
retracement.
upside and make a
And
new
so we
high.
want to see a
And
higher
if that
higher
was to
highs and higher
happen,
lows. We have not seen that
we'd
yet.
see
We haven't seen that
something
for a
like
long time.
this. And then we
Oh,
would
listen,
want to
well,
see
actually, this is a
another
daily chart. I should be going to the
um,
4-hour chart. But yeah,
retracement.
I love comparing
And
the
so we'd
4-hour
want to see a
chart
higher high,
um,
higher
and the
highs,
daily
and higher
chart,
lows.
and
We
of
have
course I
not
get down to
seen
the
that
1-hour
yet.
chart.
We haven't seen that for a long time.
That's
Oh, this is
that's kind of what we need to
actually, this is an
see. We
hourly
need to
chart. I
see
should be going to the 4-hour chart, but
we need to see some higher
yeah,
highs.
I love comparing
And
the
actually, even
4-hour
if we
chart,
did that, look at that.
um,
Now I'm on the 4-hour chart.
and the daily
That
chart,
still wouldn't
and of
be
course take it down to the one
that
hour
still
chart,
wouldn't
but
take us into positive
that's
territory.
kind of what we
I
need to
mean, that's
see.
still not a trend. We'd have to go to
We
the
need to
daily
see
chart.
some higher highs. And actually, even if we did that, look at that. Now I'm on the 4-hour chart. That still wouldn't
The
be
200
that still wouldn't take us
is at
into positive territory. I
4309.
mean, that's
I'd
still
have to
not
go
a
to the daily
trend.
chart here
We'd
All
because
have
right,
to go to
so
the
it still
daily
wouldn't
chart.
be
you'd be
this wouldn't be
dropping
something
off
that I would
of
want to see on
what's your
top of what we're
200
yeah. So and
EMA?
look at that. Look at that rally that was
The 200
happening for so long in
um
the S and
is at
P. You know,
4309,
it
and
was a
so I'd have to go to the
long,
daily
long
chart here
time.
because this still wouldn't
So
be this wouldn't be
we're gonna
something that
have
I
to
would want it to
see.
use as
We're gonna have to
confirmation.
see on this
Yeah,
daily
so
chart.
and
We
look
have to
at that.
break
Look
above
at
this
that
200
rally
and
that was
stay above it.
happening for so long
Back
on the
here in
S&P.
April,
You know,
you know,
it was a
it
long
tested the
time.
200 period moving average,
So
and we thought
we're
it
gonna
was
have
gonna
to
rally and
see,
keep
we're
going,
gonna
but
have
then
to
it broke
see on
down.
this daily chart, we're gonna have
So
to break above this
yeah,
200 and stay
we're gonna
above it.
have to
Back
break
here in
above
April,
a lot of these
you know,
areas
it
of
tested the
previous
200 period moving average,
resistance.
and
I'm just
we thought it
looking to
was
see
gonna
right
rally or
now.
keep going, but then it broke
I
down.
guess I wouldn't be
So
convinced.
yeah,
Let's see right
we're gonna
here.
have to break
You
above
know,
a
I
lot of
would like
these
to see first
areas
of all
of
trading above the
previous
200 period moving average.
resistance. I'm just
So
looking
I
at
guess
some of them right
until
now.
we get close to like the
I
45s,
guess I
or
wouldn't be
close to
convinced.
even testing,
Jeepers
yeah, the
creepers.
45s on S&P,
You
and
know,
if we could even,
I would like
start
to see
trading
first
and
of
touching
all
the
trading
46s,
above the 200 period moving
I guess
average.
that is where I would start to be
So I
convinced that we
guess
could start to
until we get close to like the
roll around.
45s
And
or
we
close
talked
to
about
even
this last time
testing,
in
yeah,
the
the
last class.
45s
So
on S&P, and
I'm
then
gonna
if
go
we could
ahead
even,
and take a
start
look at that and
trading
see.
and
We got a
touching the
lot of summer coming here.
46s, I
Um,
guess that is where I would
we
start
could
to be convinced
see
that we could start to
a lot of
roll
sideways
around.
consolidation
And
all the
we
way up
talked about this
until
last time
September,
in one
but
of the
for
last
some
chats.
reason
So,
that seems like
I'm gonna go
when
ahead
trading
and be
activity
bold
starts
about
to
it and
get a
say
little
we got a
higher,
lot of
and
summer
that's
coming
something to
here.
do with the summer
Um,
vacations.
we could
So
see a
it
lot of
seems
sideways
likely
consolidation
the
all the
end
way
of
up
August,
until
beginning of
September. And for
September
some reason,
would
that
almost be
seems
the
like,
ideal
when
time
trading activity
for a
starts to get a
rally
little
to
higher,
happen.
and it has something to do with the summer vacations.
Yep.
So
Yep, it
it
could be.
you know
But
it seems likely just the end of August, beginning of
yep,
September
yep.
would,
So
would, would almost be the
so
ideal
yeah, we could just go
time
sideways for a
for a
while.
rally to
We may not
happen.
have our rally anytime now,
Yeah,
but
could
I'm
be.
wondering if there's some ways
Right.
to
Yep,
take advantage of
yep,
this
it
We've
boost
could
seen
be,
that.
but
some
We've seen
micro
that in the
levels.
past around that October
Who
time
knows?
frame.
Depends
yep,
if some of
yep.
you out there like
So
to trade, but
so yeah, we could just go
but
sideways for a while.
anyways, yeah.
We
So
may
I
not have our
probably
rally
I
anytime
think
now, but
when they
I'm
said that we're
wondering if
looking
there's
at
some
starting to
ways
go
to,
into the winter
take
getting,
advantage of these
just
moves on some micro
how
levels.
long we're going to be in it is
Who
the
knows?
question. And I
It
guess
depends if some of you out
I don't
there
know
like to
why I
trade
got
or,
my sights set on the end of summer.
but
I really do.
anyways, yeah.
But
So
you never know.
I'm
I could be proven
probably,
wrong. We
I
might
think,
make some moves
when they
sooner,
said we might be in
but
a crypto
we're
winter,
just
they
really
weren't
watching
kidding.
and paying
Just
attention. I think
how long we're going to
it seems
be in
like
it
it would
is the
line up right.
question. And I guess I don't know why I got my sights set on the end of summer. I really do. I could be proven wrong. We might make some moves sooner, but I'm just really watching, paying attention. I think it just seemed like it would line up right.
Yeah. Hey, any other
Yeah.
questions there, Dan?
No, nothing really. It's just, yeah, interesting. August time, the
Yeah,
market,
you're
yeah,
right.
we
If that
could get a
lasts any longer,
rally,
you're
but
right. That could really
I guess
boost anything.
historically,
Yeah, there's a lot of unforeseen things that are going to be coming
I
down
don't
the
know
pike
what the
here.
elections coming up to, the midterm elections. You wonder
Yeah,
how
this is
that
going to be
plays
really interesting.
into.
Yeah, you're right. It's an election. Yeah, you're right. That could really do some funny things to the market. Yeah, there's a lot of unforeseen things that are going to be coming down the pike. We can't anticipate. Um,
Yeah, right.
yeah, this is
There
going to be
might
really
be
interesting.
pressure on the Fed,
Yep.
you know,
Right.
make sure the market doesn't crash before our
Yeah,
harvest.
right.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that might happen.
Yep.
So if they
There was
start up the printing
there was
press
an
again,
article up on Zero Hedge,
or
and
even more,
I didn't
or
get to read the whole thing, but I
were
caught
you saying they
the
were
sort of the headline, and what they were
gonna
talking
not
about
raise interest rates
was
as much
there was an
for the Fed
There
rate?
was
interpretation by
there
Wall
was an
Street.
article up on Zero Hedge,
Let me see if I can find the
and
article.
I didn't get to read the whole thing, but I caught the sort of the headline, and what they were talking about was there was an interpretation by
Must have
Wall
been
Street.
yesterday.
Let me see if I can find the article. Let's see here.
Yeah, I could have sworn to God. What's that?
Um,
Oh, no
must
kidding.
have been yesterday. Yeah, I
'Cause
could have swore to God. What's that?
I did notice
Yeah, I
mortgage
can't find that article
interest
now.
rates actually went down a little
Yeah,
bit.
I could have sworn to God
Oh,
that
no
So
kidding.
if you have a
I
decent
read it.
credit score, they're under 5. You can get like a 4.6 now.
Okay. Yeah, I can't
Yeah,
find that
yeah.
article now. But yeah, I could have swore to
Right.
God that I
Well, here
just
we go. Yep, here it is. I found
Because
I
it.
read it.
S&P
I guess
futures
that's
jump above 4,000 as
what the Fed
Fed
does. Pretty
fears
much every
fade.
market follows it.
And here's a quote. This must be
Yeah,
from
There's
yeah,
such a
the Fed
correlation
chairman,
there now.
Powell. This must be
right.
his quote.
Oh,
I'm not
here we
sure
go.
where it
Yep,
is,
here
but
it
he
is. I
gets
found it.
key market drivers to
S&P
continue to be
futures
centered
jump
around
above
inflation and
4,000
how central banks
as
react,
Fed
global
fears
growth concerns, and
fade.
how China gets
And
to
here's a
grip
quote. This
with its
must be
zero COVID
from
policy,
the Fed chairman. I
and the
can't remember,
geopolitical conflict
Powell.
between
This
Russia
must be his
and
quote. I'm not sure, but
Ukraine.
it says we expect key market
So,
drivers to continue to be
I don't
centered
know
around
about all that
inflation
actually
and how
purpose,
central
but
banks react,
yeah,
global
whatever. I
growth
don't.
concerns, and how China gets to grip with its zero COVID policy, and the geopolitical conflict between Russia and Ukraine. So I don't know how that actually
I don't
interprets,
know
but
what
yeah,
I get
whatever.
from
I don't
that,
even.
Yeah.
from if that's this is Jerome Powell saying that he's
Oh, I see.
worried
It
and
was the
he's getting
last
pressure
part.
from
It was the
certain
last
people
part
that
here.
the economic
This
situation
is
is
from
not
a
looking
guy that
good
is a
because of those
finance
Yeah,
factors,
analyst, and he
and
just basically
we
said
need
there's
to do something to
positive news flow on
stop it
changes
like we
in
did during
domestic
the
trade
COVID
that could
crash.
sharply improve risk
oh, I
sentiment.
see. It was the
However,
last
there's a broad
part. It
range
was
of
the last part. Here, this
scenarios
is
that could play out in the meantime. So
this is some
I
guy
like
that
that I
is
didn't get to read the whole
interpreting. He's
article,
an
but
analyst, and
somehow
he just
you know what
basically
it must have
said
been
that
then is
positive
that
news
I guess
flow and any of these market
they must
drivers
have
could
not
sharply
been
improve
giving
risk
sort of their
sentiment.
laying out their
However,
plantation
there
to
is a broad
increase
range of
interest rates.
scenarios that could play out in
Like
the meantime. So
it seems like the way
like I
that
said,
they're
I didn't get
going
to read the whole
crafting
article, but somehow, what it
not
must have
these
been
news
then
briefings,
is that I guess
it seems like
they
whenever they
must have
talk about the
not
rate
been
hikes and they
giving
really
sort of
focus a
their
lot of
laying out their
time
plan
on it,
to increase
that is
interest
what drives
rates.
a lot of the market down,
Because
and they just must not
it
have been
seems like
giving
the
as
way
much
that they
time
go
to
and
that or
craft
something.
these
At least from
press
just
or news
like I said,
briefings,
looking it over
um,
kind of
it seems
off
like
the
whenever they
cuff here.
talk about the rate hikes and
But
they really focus a lot of the
anyways,
time on it,
Wall
that is
Street
what drives a
interpreted
lot of the
that
market
as
down, and they just must not have been spending
positive
as
news,
much time on that or something.
loosening up.
At least from just
There's
like I said, looking it
less
over
Fed
just
fears of
kind of
interest rate
top
hikes,
level
and
here.
so they
But
ended up having a little bit of a
anyways,
rally. But of
Wall
course,
Street
next time
interpreted
they could
that
simply start talking
as
about how they're going to ratchet up or tighten
positive
interest
news,
rates, and next thing you know, it could come back down
loosening
again.
up.
So,
There's no, less
yep.
Fed fears
Yep.
of interest rates
Well, very
hikes,
good.
and so
Well, I
they
suppose
ended up having a
why don't
little
we
bit of a
wrap this
rally.
one up?
But of
And
course,
next
next
time we
time
come
they could
back,
simply start
we'll
talking about how they're going to
hopefully
ratchet up or
take
tighten
take
interest
some
rates,
more
and next thing you know, it
a
could come
look
back
at
down
what
again. So,
happened to Luna.
I know, yeah.
That's going to be really
yep,
interesting.
yep. Well, very good. Well, I suppose why don't we wrap this one up? And next time we come back, we'll hopefully
Oh wow.
take some more a look at what happened to Luna. That's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, it switched over. The token turned into Luna Classic this afternoon, so it's got a different ticker symbol. And
So what are they going to do with it?
well, they took the snapshot here this afternoon, and there's an airdrop that's happening. So they're switching over to a new chain. The Genesis starts sometime in the next 24 hours or less, and they're dropping the peg, the UST peg, and it sounds like they're just like what happened with Ethereum. There's a division in the community, and most of the stuff though is moving over to 2.0. It does seem like there's some sort of movement on Classic that's going to be happening, and yeah, as far as the airdrop that you and I are going to be qualified for, it looks like my 130,000 tokens might qualify me for 1.8 of the new Terra tokens. So,
Oh, so what? Yeah, what's going to be the ratio there in terms
yeah,
of the airdrop compared to tokens you have?
right. Well, like I said, there's a calculator that's out there, and I punched my number in, and it came up at 1.8 tokens is what I get, like total. That's like
What is the
it.
new
1.8 tokens is all I'm
symbol?
qualified for, and that's after the staking period. So, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
That's a complete waste.
What is the new symbol?
Well, the new symbol is going to
No
be
data yet. That's
Luna
because it
C.
hasn't been released, right?
Luna
Tomorrow
C.
Uh,
morning,
Okay.
eh?
yeah, so I think it's LUNC,
Okay.
and then the new one is still going to stay Luna, LUNA.
Yeah.
No
So,
data yet. That's because it hasn't been released, right? Tomorrow will be the day.
yep.
Okay.
Yep, yeah, we'll see what happens. It sounds like there's a bunch of people that are looking to jump in on that. I'm staying the hell out.
Yeah.
I'm good right where I'm at right now.
Yeah, how could you? They lost all credibility and trust.
I really wish that they would have gone through and done a token burn and taken and removed the peg. Although, I don't have the answers to this. I do have some speculation that maybe some of that gets out of regulatory purview because now you technically have a completely different project. So, is it like basically bankrupting one business and starting a new business? I don't know. Does that? I don't know. There's certainly tomorrow's discussion with Dan is going to prove to be interesting because all this type of ideas of the things that are happening in that wild west of crypto right now, and the things that these projects are getting away with. I mean, they'd never fly in a regulatory environment. This entire thing that just happened, I mean, holy cow. The amount of people that lost their life savings, and the idea that they were investing into it, the UST being a stable coin, and this traditional concept of a stable coin, and how far away from that it ended up being. There was this whole payment infrastructure. I was telling Jay a little bit earlier. Some of the information that I found is, I think it was over in Korea and somewhere else. It sounded like they actually had instituted a payment structure over there where merchants, like store merchants, just average everyday people, businesses, were taking in UST for payments, because the infrastructure was set up that they were paying half the rate. So they wouldn't have to pay Visa or MasterCard the 3%. They were paying 1% for Luna, for the UST.
Yeah.
So, for that to have broken down, oh man, I mean, it is just a catastrophic situation that has so many ripple effects. We're going to be talking about this thing for years.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks,
Yeah.
Jay, for stopping by. Always an interesting discussion as we dig into this stuff and figure out some more things to kind of help us give us an edge. I appreciate you taking the time tonight. Thanks, Dan, for stopping by.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks to all the Skinny Monkey guys for dropping in. Appreciate you guys.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, you guys have a good night.